3 minutes late. Take that, Cookie Nibs, and your hat color's wrong. Yeah. Let's freestyle. Hooray! Neat. Things are cool. Mic check. Hello, microphone. Oh, nobody got the hat right yet. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Wherever you are, however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. You're here. There's a good amount of you here already. Thank you for waiting. I know Robert has been waiting since he woke up to pee at 2 a.m. this morning due to his advanced age and aging prostate, which is fine. Robert, we all have that. The older we get, the less functional our prostate is. So no judgment there, and it's great to have you here. But everybody that is here, if you could just do me a favor, like this live, share it out somewhere, especially like Facebook or somewhere. Share it somewhere where you don't normally share it, and that would go a long way. I do need to apologize for missing you guys yesterday. I hope it's the last one in a while. I won't get into too many details, but I've just had like some legal stuff that I've been dealing with, and that's done. I thought it was done, but I believe it was finished finally yesterday. So I apologize for that, and I appreciate your guys' patience with me. This year it's been a little sporadic, so I think we're all done with that shit. And I was not the father, so there we go. Jen, good morning.
Good morning.
Big weekend for you this weekend.
I do. Well, one specifically. So yeah.
How big is this?
I don't know yet.
How big is this?
I guess I'll find out.
All right. That is definitive. That was definitive.
I know. I just say the random shit anymore. It doesn't even matter. So.
Yeah, that's true. But also 50-50? 50-50
I don't
chance,
know.
you know?
I don't know. I
know, just going in, what would you... Obviously, 50-50 means you might not. 50-50 means you don't know.
Sure, we'll go 50-50. Why not?
Would you bump that number to 60-40?
I don't know. Like I said, I gotta meet him in person. What if he like has like a weird eye twitch or something?
He just like didn't get enough sleep the night before because he was so nervous to go on this date with you that he has an eye twitch. And Jen will shut somebody down for an eye twitch, but not for trying to eat her hand. I love that about you. Never changed, Jen. Where are we going?
Actually, this is kind of funny. The first date I went on when I came out of retirement, there was this certain kind of like a speakeasy place.
Oh yeah, you told us about that. Sorry, before I forget this, sorry, hold that thought real quick. Blue Chew's been a member with us for 13 months now. Appreciate that, and wants to remind you, use the code RUGDOCTOR for 15% off nothing. Keep going. And thanks, Charles. Charles, 15 months. Holy shit. 15 months as a member, Charles, and says happy Friday. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, so we're in the same place. It was ironically, I didn't mention the place. That's what they chose. They picked the place. So
was Speakeasy Finger Monster?
Yes.
Oh man, it's gonna bring back some memories.
So,
where are you going after the date?
The date was decent with. Even with the finger licking. We had a decent time. So it wasn't a bad. So it was fine, but.
Spit water all over the floor. I'm so sorry. I'm not mature enough for this.
We know this. We know that.
So. All right. So I didn't catch the rest of it. I lost you at first date with the finger or something like that. I like that we're calling him the finger.
I said we had a decent date. It was besides the finger one.
Yeah.
we had a good time. We just yeah, it's fun.
All right. Where's the after party at?
I have so Spawn is gonna be home. So I have
you gotta sneak him
in.
Like,
I'll have to. She's being herself. I mean, the last one I went on, I given shared my location with her before.
Yeah.
And then when I went on a different date, she kept she wasn't even home. She was harassing me more or less. And she's like, "Will you show your look?" She was bugging me, and so I had to tell her no, just because I had to establish dominance. I couldn't let her not. I couldn't let her win. So
there you go.
So it's I'm supposed to meet him at 6:30, and then I'll probably have to be home by 10. I'm guessing.
Does she set a time for you? Does she say
no? I just try to be. I mean, she's 12. I mean, she's old enough to be home alone for some time, but not super late. So.
Now I'm gonna see 14 months. Should be longer, but I had to steal the Prime sub. Appreciate that. Necessary trouble. 15 months as a member. Said I'm special too. You're goddamn right you are. Thank you guys so much. To our members, I do need to say I need to do a better job showing you guys appreciation. I do appreciate it, and some of you have been here for a long time, so thank you.
Yeah, I've noticed there's lots of people who've been around for a while with that. The OGs, I guess. That here. One time, someone asked me the other day, how long I've been doing this. It's been almost 3 years, I think.
Since you've been with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any idea. I have no idea.
It's weird.
Can you request ways to show your appreciation? You can. I'm still willing to do the calendar. If somebody, I think Bree's been really, really busy. So if somebody wants to put together the calendar. What's that?
I said, now you're blaming this on Bree that the calendar's not done yet?
No. It's 100% my fault because I'm not doing it. I should, but so if somebody else wants to take the reins, she's a very busy, brilliant human being. So maybe somebody else, maybe Casey could take up the reins on figuring that out. I do have a photographer, and it's warm outside. So
what's the holdup? You said you have a photographer. So what's the issue?
I think we just need to pick the poses for 12 months, and then whatever we're gonna do, I'll probably have to get outfits together.
I mean, there's a channel in Discord that we had. Yes, he volunteered you, Casey. I don't know what he's volunteering you for, but yes, he did.
I did, yeah. I said maybe, Casey. By the way, this is crazy. TFI said, Jay, I've been with you since the Sacramento Kings made the playoffs. First video I saw of you was pumping up the Kings. That was a year before I was even in politics. So you've been with me before I did politics. That's crazy. That's back when I was doing sports betting. That's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah. No, so I mean, I was looking at the other notes. It's been a while.
Yeah, Soli says 17 months for Soli. Wow. D Freezy, thank you. Said it should be me shaking my head. I believe that's directed at you, Jen. What's a viewer like? If you were going to say a viewer here, if they wanted to shoot their shot, how could they actually do that? Are you against that?
To be honest, I would prefer not to because you know this. There's weirdos on the internet.
No.
There's weirdos on the internet. So I mean, I am intentionally vague with certain things. That's why I don't say my kid's name. I try not to use her name, and I try to be very general. I mean, I say I live in California, but I'm not specific about where, because there's some weirdos out there. So,
a lot of you been here for a while. I like seeing that in the chat, by the way. Thank you. Okay. All right. Anything else, Jen, before we get going?
No, just same old stuff.
They're all confused. They thought your kid's name was really Spawn.
I mean, sometimes I mean, she's actually she's a good kid. She's not that evil. I make her probably sound worse than she is.
No, we get it. She is your kid, so there's a certain amount of
she's definitely got some issues. So But all right, well, we can get going. So just want to remind everybody about our gift goal, since and no clapping. So we got the gift goal. If we wanted to, exceed the gift goal today, that would be cool. Since yesterday, we missed. I love how Jay and our conversations in the morning are a quick text. We don't usually say a whole lot, but he's like, I have to cancel today. Like, okay, do you want me to make the announcement or you? So I had to do that. But
and then Jen does it because I'm a little bit of a sad boy. I'm an emotional boy, so sometimes Jen has to take the reins there when I don't want to do it.
Just handle it. But
thanks, W Jen in the chat.
And Robert, I was here also when you were talking to yourself in the chat. I just didn't care to respond to you.
Hi, Robert.
Fun fact. So yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed to us already, or became a paid member on either of the platforms, you should do that. We had watched the company retreat, which was fun.
Jen was doing something else during that. She won't admit it, but she was absent. Time. She was absent as fuck during that.
I was not. Yeah. I even shared pictures of my roster.
Eventually.
I was there. Mm-hmm. Not off. But I mean, you guys shared pictures of the roster, and so that was fun.
That's true. We did see Jen's current roster without faces. If any of those people happen to ever listen to this, she did blur out their faces.
Yes, the face was blurred. But anyways, so yeah, if you're a paid member, you can join us for those members only events. How many more episodes of Company Retreat are there?
Good question. While you're doing announcements, I think there's only 2 more. I think it's 6 total.
Okay. So yeah, we'll be finishing that on the next one. So if you guys disagree with RTP in your opposition, you can come up and talk to them. And how you do that is send me a message on Discord. Discord username is the same as the Venmo. Oh, that's weird. You know what I just noticed?
What's that?
I'm looking at the screen on my end. Your cable is right through the gen in Gen Dev 1. Hard to see.
Oh, yeah. Cable is that?
Anyways, send me a message on Discord and I can bring you up. So Gen with 2 N's, Dev with 2 B's, the number 1. And that's how you can come up and talk. Check out the link in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. So we've got merch, Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. So like I said, the gift goal, if you want to donate to us, our preference is Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. YouTube takes a heavier chunk, but we like to hit the goal each day so we can keep doing this for you guys. So there's all that. And a date asked me to meet him at the gym.
Yeah, sure.
But I didn't show up.
Didn't.
Guess we're not going to work out.
Stupid. Holy shit! There's 10 episodes of or 9 episodes of Company Retreat. We might go 3 and 3. It might be longer this next time. All right. Thanks, Jen. Thanks everybody here. My eyes are bluer today. Sometimes the lighting hits. Maybe I'm just in a good mood. Maybe that's what it is. It's Friday. I have an excellent weekend planned. So, but new jobs numbers came out today. Is Heather Long. We did add some jobs. That's good. 115,000 jobs in April, and March was revised to 185, which is good. Let's assume, since we've accepted those revisions downward beforehand, we'll assume that those are correct. Unfortunately, unemployment remained the same, which means people stopped working. So we did add new jobs, but we were not able to drop the unemployment number. It's still at 4.3%. Hiring was strongest in healthcare. About a third of the job gains in April came from healthcare, and then the other major players were retail and transportation/warehousing, not manufacturing, which is kind of what those tariffs were supposed to do. I did see the other day, I just browsed through TikTok for a minute. I did see on, I forget her name now, but old Logic, or the artist formerly known as Logic and Liberty, had on Millie. And I noticed she's not talking about how tariffs are going to bring back manufacturing jobs. So I guess they've abandoned that. Let me pull the screen up here. I forgot to show you. I forgot to show you that graph. I'm sorry. Here was the graph. That's what it looks like. This is Trump's jobs numbers. Since you can see this first red drop here, that was basically when Trump took office. And you can see that if you want to compare that to the Biden administration, go ahead. Trump's best months are nowhere near, and his worst months are obviously negative. So retail goes up because they are hiring college kids for the summer. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And same with transportation jobs. Longer days. All of that is mostly seasonal, and we can assume. Here's how Fox Business reported it.
Take off. Here's what just happened. We got a much better than expected jobs report for the month of April. 115,000 jobs is the non-farm number. 115,000 jobs.
Now be ready for math. It's 115,000. Let's just do the math here.
Expectation was 62,000. Again, a strong print for the U.S. jobs picture. The unemployment rate, as expected, holding steady, 4.3%. Manufacturing.
By saying holding as expected, staying at 4.3%, they're basically admitting that they knew that any job creation would be offset by the people who have left the workforce. That's what they're saying there.
Jobs, we actually saw a loss of 2,000. The expectation was for a gain of 5,000. And on the private side, we saw 123,000 private sector jobs added. The expectation was 75,000. EJ, I am so sorry that I interrupted you, but I wanted to get these numbers out because I was looking at the Dow futures jumping on this report. Your reaction?
Well, definitely good headline number, Cheryl, but as I'm just looking through the next part of the headline, it looks like the employment level is actually down about 226, I think. So the employment level is down. In other words, the number of people actually working. Looks like fewer people are participating in the labor market.
Good. Great. That's terrific.
For the month. So this might be another one of those reports where it's difficult to interpret the conflicting signals. The survey of businesses is showing additions of payroll, but the survey of households is showing fewer people employed, with, again, the labor force participation rate dropping and also the employment to population ratio dropping. Those are two things that have really underperformed for the past 6 years. It's been since the pandemic. We've never really recovered on those two categories, I believe.
Nancy.
Yeah. So let's call it slightly bad. Let's call it that. 225-ish thousand people left the workforce. 115,000 new jobs were created. If you subtract 225,000 from 115,000, that means less people are working. Let's get some comments here. Sally said $5 Friday. Thank you, Sally. And W in the chat for Cookie Nib sending $100 and being a subscriber said, let's kick off that goal. Thanks for all you do. Jen and Mods do. One day I will get that hat color right. It's the rotation's pretty small on the hats. I thought somebody would get it. And this one's relatively new. I thought we'd get that one. But again, W Cookie Nibs in the chat. Appreciate that. That was very generous. Going here, we also want to pay attention to consumer sentiment. This is how people are feeling about the markets. Again, back to Fox Business, so we can't be accused of being partisan. Here's how that was covered this morning.
The latest read from the University of Michigan.
There is no pattern to the rotation, no.
On consumer sentiment, what do we have, Madison?
Bad number. The number is 48.2 for May. That is a record low. It was expected to slip down to 49.5, but 48.2. We also have some news on inflation.
Setting records, this Trump administration. Record low. This same administration, I'll show you clips later, they're going around talking about how things are going well. Where's Ian? Ian, you were talking a lot of shit about the midterms. What about these numbers makes you feel confident that Republicans are going to win in the midterms? Is it just the cheating? Even with the cheating, the House is cooked. You can, the cheating that you're doing, gerrymandering, won't help in the Senate. That's only going to help the House. At best, Republicans will save a handful of seats with all this gerrymandering.
4.5% increase over the year in inflation. You know, when you look at this number, 48.2, this is the third straight decline and the second record low in a row.
The latest read from the University of Michigan on consumer.
More records by the Trump administration as consumer sentiment hits a low of 48.2 Record low. Great stuff. Let's talk about the labor supply, because this is now how we spin it. This is Kevin Hassett spinning this, which is his job. He looks worse though. he's not aging well as he gets trotted out onto TV to smile and lie to you every single day.
But the negative also is about labor supply is shrinking. You got baby boomers retiring. You got less illegal immigration. You got more deportations. How do you factor that in?
All right, let's be clear about this. People who are undocumented are counted in the jobs numbers. The reason they're counted in the jobs numbers is because it doesn't account for people who are, or it doesn't account for your citizenship. That's not a question that's asked. And so, yes, to some extent, people who are here and undocumented can be counted in the labor force. However, it's calculated with two surveys. You have the household survey, which is the current population survey, or CPS, and then you have current employment statistics, which are CES. CES is far less likely to capture undocumented workers because it's the employers. And the employers, if they are paying undocumented workers, they are cheating and they are breaking the law. So why would they put on paper that they have, if they're hiring undocumented workers, why would they report that, right? So keep that in mind, that yes, undocumented workers can be included in the numbers and are included in the numbers, but because we don't know their status in the numbers, there's no way to tell like what percentage of these gains or losses are from undocumented workers.
You got more deportations. How do you factor that in?
Well, I don't think that that's a negative. I think it's a positive in the sense that we've got more good jobs for legal Americans. And so we've secured the border. Almost all the job creation under Joe Biden was with illegal aliens.
That is made up. That's entirely made up. He can't have that number. That number's impossible to determine. It also doesn't make a great deal of sense. I don't know how many people have been deported at this point. Not enough to make up for all of Joe Biden's gains in the job market. That's entirely made up. Now it's made up? What do you mean now it's made up? He's the only person that's ever said that. What are you talking about? Now it's made up. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Doing big things. Let me use smaller words for you. The way that we know who, like the way that we get these numbers is you have like the household survey and the employer survey, and they tell you about job creation. And nowhere in those numbers is there a breakdown of whether or not somebody is documented or undocumented. So if he gave you any number, if he said 20% of those were undocumented, that would be a made up number. If he said 1% were undocumented, that would be a made up number. Whatever number he tells you is a made up number because he can't have that number. It's impossible to determine. So naturally he goes with 100% of the people who got jobs or jobs that were created under the Biden administration were undocumented. He made that up.
That's pretty much stopped. And so when you see a number like 150,000 jobs, which we're seeing now month after month, then that's people who are American citizens who are working now. And it's also private sector workers. We've reduced.
If you have to lie to sell these shitty job numbers, perhaps the job numbers are shitty. Perhaps cutting taxes for billionaires and increasing taxes on everybody else through tariffs wasn't a good strategy. Perhaps it doesn't work.
Government workers by 350,000 since President Trump took office. And so we're creating the right kind of jobs with people who are lawfully here. And that's
I guess the other, but the negative.
You will? Okay, YouTube guy, I'll take the director of National Economics Council over you any day. Yeah, that shows how stupid you are. It shows how your inability to understand things and fact check. Like, you shouldn't believe me. You shouldn't believe him. You should go look this up. Go look it up right now. You want to see? Go look up how, just search, are undocumented immigrants included in jobs numbers? And they'll tell you. And then ask, can we determine the percentage of undocumented workers in the jobs numbers from the BLS? And you will find out that the answer is no, you cannot. But you have decided you're a person who's just like, I just believe who I want to believe. I don't fact check anything. And there again is the difference between progressives and conservatives. Conservatives, it's just ideology. If I got that number wrong, my own audience would correct me. If I said that, if I tried to make up some percentage, this audience would correct me. OCD says, I went to a paraplegic strip club. It was crawling with pussy. Jesus Christ. I should have proofread that. Have a good show. Thank you. That is horrific. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's 2 red faces in one show so far. Okay. Threw me for a loop. Let's go here. Let's look at manufacturing, which is the whole purpose of tariffs, right? To onshore American manufacturing and increase payroll. If we look here, this is the year-on-year change in U.S. manufacturing employment. Bad. Down is bad. That means we're somehow bleeding manufacturing jobs while Donald Trump and J.D. Vance out there campaigning and Republicans out there campaigning that tariffs are America first and they will bring back American manufacturing. You can look just in any industry. This yellow is metals and non-metallic minerals. Cool. We slapped a bunch of tariffs on Canada and manufacturing didn't grow. Wait, so I just looked it up and it says yes? Wait, what says yes? Oh, my. You Googled are undocumented immigrants included in the jobs numbers and it says yes, right? Doing big things? Is that what you're saying? You looked up the question that are undocumented immigrants included in the jobs numbers? Is that the question you asked? Also, try not to do all caps. I know you're trying to get my attention, but I'm paying attention here. It's supposed to be for mods. Who wants to tell them, guys? Who wants to tell them? Are you still here? Doing big things? We're gonna show the conservative. Well, if you are still here, yes, that's what you looked up. It's also exactly what I said. I said that they are included in the jobs numbers, but we don't know who in those jobs numbers is undocumented because they don't sort by whether or not you are documented or undocumented. Do we need more evidence that all they do is listen to disagree? This is literally what I said. Illusion said, also, thanks to Jen for naming her kid Spawn McDub and nobody else, because fuck Hat Boy for no reason whatsoever. Have a great weekend. Thank you. So I said, if I assault someone tonight, can I tell the officer it was only a little love tap? Yes, you can. You can tell them it's a love tap. We'll get to that later. But we can look here, transportation and equipment, substantial drop. That's the purple here. Chemicals, petroleum, and plastic. It just evaporated. It's just completely evaporated under Donald Trump. Machinery, wood, paper, printing. None of this is working. Are we still? Raise your hand if you still support the tariffs. All right. Let's go back here. Shit. Okay. This is the real problem. The real problem is even when we get gains like this, it's going to be eaten up by inflation. So you can see here, this is CPI inflation since July of 2023, and this is real wage growth. Inflation has come down. Wage growth went with it. Now we see here wage growth is at 3.6%. Inflation ticked up now to 4.3%. Inflation is outpacing wage growth. So even the people that are now, and Trump will go out and he'll talk about like wages growing. Kevin Hassett does that regularly. What they don't include is that inflation wipes that out. So people, even though they're being paid more, actually have less money. They have less buying power. You hope the Dems' own medicine tastes wonderful. What are you talking about? With our own medicine? I'm sorry. Did Joe Biden slap a bunch of dumbass tariffs on everything and go to war with Iran and tank the economy? Is that our own medicine? That's we do everything to own the libs, right? That's the plan. You'll watch the country burn down to own the libs, and you can't even explain what you're doing. All right, let's look at last thing here. This was Trump, and this is again, this is a man who went to Wharton School of Business, which is one of the premier business schools in the country, and he's an absolute genius. This is him talking about exporting oil or jet fuel. Now, if you want your gas prices to go down, if he's America first, we would stop exporting oil and jet fuel. We would keep it here at home. And that would, instead of increasing the demand, we would lower the demand, and the price of oil and jet fuel would come down. It would be cheaper for you to fly. It would be cheaper for you to drive a car, right? Basic supply and demand economics. For somebody who went to Wharton certainly would understand that. And maybe he does understand that. But if he does understand this, then that means he doesn't give a fuck about you.
I like on oil export. I like them both. So would you consider export curbs on oil or jet fuel if supplies get tight?
I don't need them. We don't need them. And we have tremendous amounts of oil. We are not suffering oil. And again, ships are coming all the way where they used to go to Hormuz. They're coming all the way up. And we have hundreds of ships coming up to Texas, coming up to Louisiana.
Oh, so you increased the demand without increasing the supply. The prices will continue to go up, and the only people that benefit from that are the oil companies. And you all struggle. You all get to pay more because Donald Trump isn't America first. That's what drill baby drill was, right? MAGA that's here, let's talk to you, Bubbly Brister. Isn't that what drill baby drill was? We're going to drill so much oil that oil will be cheap. We'll become energy independent. We'll become energy dominant. We'll drill so much oil that Americans will have cheaper prices. And now he's using this war with Iran to boost oil producers. Is this America first? You believe media and things online. Where do you get your information, Patrick? Did somebody write you a fucking letter? Just go check the mail every day, and Patrick gets a letter in the mail. Here's what's really going on. Don't believe online. Here's a letter today.
And coming to Alaska, filling up, and they're going back and
Great.
making a lot of money.
Yeah, the oil companies are making a lot of money. Thanks, Donald. Thanks for the high gas prices. Enjoy it. All right, this is just petty. This is just petty for me. I love this so much. As a big fan of mixed martial arts, and I've been a big UFC fan for a long time, Dana White has become awful. And it's not just his politics, it's his arrogance and his ability to talk out of both sides of his mouth consistently. He was on with Charlemagne the God, and Charlemagne came prepared. He obviously has notes here, and it's about fucking time that somebody held Dana White's feet to the fire when it comes to Donald Trump.
Friend of mine. I mean, I've been friends with him for 25 years. Mm-hmm. Friends. I mean, he just happened to become
Dana White is what I'm naming my daughter. Well, hope she has better hair.
The president of the United States. Mm-hmm. This was a guy that was always good to me and, always treated me well, and I did it.
I can understand that. That's your friend. But when your friend has a disapproval rating of 62%, right, record high, people say they don't like his handling of the Iran war, the economy's shitty, cost of living for people is fucked up. Why can't you tell your friend he's failing the people? As a friend.
Well, he's the president of the United States.
Still your friend, though.
And yeah, I know. But
hey, you can blow smoke up his ass, but you can't tell him he's not doing a good job.
Yeah. For me to get involved in, it's like, I'm sure people disagree with you.
Roly-poly, I'm not going to repeat what you said, but I agree with what you said.
That are friends with you, and everybody has friends that you just, doesn't mean you're not friends with them anymore. That doesn't mean that you.
Oh, no, I didn't say you shouldn't be friends with him. I just said, why can't you tell your friend he's failing the people? Because these are the same people who make UFC a success.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that he's failing the people. When the president is done in 3 years, people will look back on and realize a lot of the good things. See, it's
interesting here. I'm not going to criticize him. I'm not going to be political. I wouldn't say he's failing. Actually, he's great. That's some bitch shit right there. That's some bitch shit. He's just my friend. I'm not political. I'm not going to say he's doing a bad job, but I will say he's doing a great job.
Closer to him too, and I see all the good things that he does.
Corey, go ahead and tell the chat what he's doing to help you.
But tariff inflation has increased the price of household goods, increased utility bills because household electricity costs have gone up 9%. The failure to extend the Affordable Care Act has fucked up people's health care.
Dana White boasted about forcing his wife to get an early C-section because her due date was during the fight he wanted to see. I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that at all. I don't think I've heard that before.
Everyday working class people who support your sport are hurting.
You're never going to have a president that everybody approves 100% of everything they do, and not everything is always.
That's not an answer. He just wants to know, like, your fan base, which is now being priced out of all these events. He just wants to know, like, do you care about your fan base or do you care about your friend? Now we're back to, you're not always going to agree, and then it'll just glaze him again.
He's going to be perfect. You're going to have some things that work out great and a lot of things that don't.
Oh, I agree.
When they're the president of the United States.
But can you tell your friend when he's...
Yeah, we talk about a lot of things, but I don't try to get into...
You like everything he's doing?
Like I just said, you're never going to agree with everything. But
So your relationship with Trump is bigger than business. It's actually personal.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a real friendship.
But don't be a glazer, though, Dana.
Don't be what?
A glazer. Like just somebody that just tells him he's great. A yes man, basically.
Yeah.
You gotta tell him when he's...
not really a yes man. It's he's spitting on it. That's what he's doing.
I don't think anybody's ever accused me of being a yes man. Okay. But listen, I'm not an overly political person either.
Are you part of the MAGA movement culturally? Do you align with their...
He spoke at the RNC. He's been to the White House a million times. His company is going to lose millions of dollars on a White House card for President Trump's birthday. He's at the White House consistently. Every time Donald Trump comes to a UFC fight, he gets his own walkout, and they stop the whole fucking show to have Donald Trump walk in. What do you mean I'm not a political person? You spoke at the RNC multiple times. You don't get to have it both ways.
Ideologies and their values.
You know, I consider myself right down the middle or leaning a little liberal, to be honest with you. Everybody.
All right, let's tell you about Dana White. Dana White runs the UFC. The UFC shares 13% of their revenue with their athletes. That's the worst in all sports. But like, if you want a reference, at the NFL and the NBA, they give, I think it's over 50% go to the players in revenue sharing. He does 13%. He doesn't allow unionization. He doesn't pay any sort. There's no benefits. No health benefits for these fighters. So it's not like he's paying them 13%, but then he's like making sure they're taken care of for life. There's no retirement for any of these fighters. When you get on a contract, you get locked into a 5-fight contract at a, like, if you, like, let's just say you come into the UFC and you have a 5-fight contract and you start, I think it's usually like 20-20 if you're a decent fighter, like 20 grand to fight and another 20 grand if you win. So $40,000. You can fight. If you're a new fighter, you might get 1 fight a year. If you're really popular, you build a social media following, you might get 2, occasionally 3 fights a year tops. But most of these guys are coming in and they're going 20-20, which means half those fighters make $20,000 in a year. And those fighters have to pay for their their gym. They have to pay their managers. They have to pay their coach. They have to buy all their own equipment. They have to buy all their own food, nutritionists, all that shit for $20,000 for a year. And if the UFC doesn't want you to fight, they can just not schedule you to fight. They don't guarantee you fights. There is nothing even remotely left-leaning about Dana White at all. He is as right-wing, big business. I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he's at least 100 millionaire. This guy goes out and gambles millions of dollars every week. He does not take care of his fighters. And he wants you to believe that he actually leans left. Except for every political belief he has is like alt-right.
He thinks I'm some far-right guy because
Dana
of our
White privilege. Well done.
Relationship.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Most CEOs try to stay politically neutral to protect the brand. You almost seem kind of like proud to be political, I guess.
Not proud to be political. I mean, I'm just
trots out Donald Trump. For the record, he's made a pretty awful business decision, and the UFC is bleeding viewers right now. And they signed a deal with Paramount, which again, Larry Ellison, surprise, surprise, and it's a bad deal. And the fans are priced completely out of these events. They can't go to numbered events. It's like $500 will be the cheapest seat you get. It's all just they've sold out to corporations. They sold out to the Saudis, and they've sold out to venture capitalists. And they're struggling right now. It's a real problem. A lot of people think that they went away from the pay-per-view model because Paramount wanted it. The truth is they were bleeding numbers.
Saying that this guy is my friend, and nothing is perfect, and whoever is the next president, right or left, isn't going to be perfect either.
Well, what about when people say that you're the reason why a lot of young male voters, because of you have seen everything that you have, voted for Trump, and that was something that, like, even if you didn't mean to do, it was widely talked about, and you still leaned into helping his popularity in the space.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
But that gets political then.
Yeah,
I guess. So you're responsible for that.
So you're political.
The high tariffs and the high inflation costs, and
I guess so. I guess if that's the way you want to look at it,
for people
it's all my fault.
No, I'm just saying you're responsible for people's healthcare getting cut. I'm just saying, like, that's what you're essentially saying.
Okay.
Jesus.
I mean, I that's not the way I look at it, but I guess I could see why you would look at it.
Yeah, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as everything. And look, there's something to that. There's something to be said about somebody like Dana White, who has been wildly successful. And frankly, the story of Dana White and how he wound up acquiring the UFC, it was a good purchase. He ran it really well. He did stuff that nobody else was willing to do. He got it mainstream. He was able to get it regulated. He beat the American public. He was able to convince a bunch of members of Congress to stop fighting against it. Famously, John McCain came out and called it human cockfighting, and there was a ban everywhere. So, like, he's a successful person. He did a really good job building up the UFC, but like now he's rich and he's taking care of his rich buddies, and they're not doing anything for the fighters. So just don't call yourself left. Don't say I'm left leaning. What does that mean? Like, you don't punch gay people if they're around you? That's it. You're just like okay with other people being choosing who they want to have sex with. That's what makes you left. That's because that's what it is. Have you seen the damage that does those fighters? It does damage. Yeah, it does. I mean, human cockfighting, like cockfighting ends in a death. Let's be careful there. UFC fighters are less likely to get CTE than boxers because with the smaller gloves, you get knocked out easier. So you don't have repeated blows to the head. And that's where you get CTE, is the constant punching. So yeah, and they put their lives literally on the line. But Dana White doesn't do anything to help them. He doesn't give them any protection if they wind up coming in, fighting for the UFC, helping him make hundreds of millions of dollars, and then if they get a brain injury, they're just fucked the rest of their life. And then what? There's a really good More Perfect Union they did with this, and it went over this fighter who I think he got on through the Ultimate Fighter, and in his first fight on his UFC contract, he suffered a traumatic brain injury, and now he's just like barely scraping by. He can kind of work. But he's on government assistance, and he's trying his best to like make ends meet, but he can't. Being a UFC fighter is a choice. Why do you feel bad for them again? Criticizing, this is a weird thing that you guys do. I'm criticizing Dana White. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a choice. That doesn't mean Dana White can't be a better person. That doesn't mean he can't run a better business. That doesn't mean that he can't take care of his employees. Who do you think, William, that we're not compassionate against? Electric Dad said, I watched every UFC card. Now I watch none because he won't let unions in and has Trump at every card. I can't tell you the last time I watched the UFC event. And not necessarily, I didn't even like purposely boycott it. It just, I got busy and now I don't care that much. And it does suck. Like, I hate how I do hate watching Trump come in and everybody kiss the ring, and you see like Marco Rubio and Kash Patel ringside like they're celebrities. I don't like that. What's wrong with being on government assistance? Nothing, Robert. I don't have a problem with being on government assistance, but you guys complain about that. If employers took care of their employees, we wouldn't have so many people on government assistance, right? So join me then. If you don't want people. As many people on disability or Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, then perhaps we talk to the employers about taking care of people so that there's other options for people and other means so that it doesn't have to be government assistance. But you guys complain that people are on government assistance, then we're like, well, yeah, because employers don't pay enough and employers don't give people benefits. And like, oh, that's the free market. And you're like, okay, so what do we do with these people? All of your plans are just like, oh, we should let poor people die. Like, if we follow any of your logic all the way through, the final solution is let's let poor people die. Let's let people who need assistance die. That's kind of shitty, right? Centered there. Seeing Rubio, Patel, or Johnson ringside like that's embarrassing. Mike Johnson looked so uncomfortable when he was there. Ian, shut up, man. Ian, come up here and talk to me. Would you message GenDub1, JenNDUBB1 on Discord, and you can come up here and talk to me. Like, just generally saying because Democrats fucked up our economy is silly. The economy was better when Trump took over. Trump has made it worse. You can blame Democrats for whatever you want, but Trump has made it worse. So are you just going to blame Democrats always? Probably. You know who is benefiting, though, from Donald Trump is pedophiles and pedophile enablers. It's never been a better time in America to be a pedophile or a pedophile enabler. This president is the most pro-pedophile enabler president that has ever existed. So if you voted for him because you're like, man, pedophiles get a raw deal, then yeah, I understand why you're happy as a Republican right now. That might be the thing he's best at. This was a really interesting interview on CNN. They went and they interviewed people who were in jail with Ghislaine Maxwell in her new jail, which is a non-violent prison. If you are there, you're supposed to be a non-violent offender. But for some reason, out of nowhere, she got moved to this cushy prison where she gets to play with puppies and she gets lots of outdoor time and she gets craft time and she gets access to TV and internet, and she's legitimately a pedophile and a pedophile enabler. And it was Trump's administration who moved her there. So there's not really a good argument for any of you if you're like, oh, no, they're not pedophile enablers. It's exactly what they are. Why? Because the president is probably one too.
Tonight, an Outfront exclusive. Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell's fellow inmates are speaking out tonight about Maxwell and the special treatment she received and how they say prison officials punished them for talking about it, for criticizing Maxwell. Maxwell, of course, is serving a 20-year prison sentence and is seeking a pardon now in exchange for her testimony about Epstein's network. So let's go straight to
Mods, Dan Ford, can you ban him forever?
MJ Lee, who has spoken to these women. And MJ, what exactly are these inmates alleging happened after Maxwell arrived at their facility?
Yeah, Aaron, we are hearing for the first time from inmates who served time with Ghislaine Maxwell, and they say that they were punished after speaking out about her. You'll remember last summer, Maxwell was suddenly and mysteriously transferred to a minimum security prison camp in Bryan, Texas. It made little sense at the time because a convicted child sex offender is not typically allowed to serve time at a minimum security facility like that. And adding to the intrigue at the time was that this was right after Maxwell had this unusual 2-day.
Now he's bragging about assaulting women, Bubby. And if you want to brag about assaulting women in the chat too, you can go too.
Interview with the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. Julie Howell was one inmate at Bryan who was really upset about all of this. She says she consulted the inmate's handbook, which said that she could talk to media, and she decided to respond to a reporter at the Telegraph who had reached out. Here's a little bit of what Julie told me in her first interview since her prison sentence recently ended.
And so I was a little, I guess, I don't use the word lightly, it was like a trigger because of, my experience with my daughter being trafficked and just knowing all of the research I had done that the camps are supposed to be for nonviolent offenders. I was very upset about her being moved. I said, I had spoke with other inmates. Nobody was happy about her being there. One, we all felt like we were being punished for her being there. And then given her crime, she shouldn't be there per BOP policies and procedures. And so it was very unfair.
And several days after she sends that message to the reporter through her husband, Julie says she gets called into the lieutenant's office. She doesn't know what's going on, but she quickly realizes that she's in trouble.
Yeah, the video's quiet, sorry.
He says, did you speak to a reporter? He said, well, it's all over the World Wide Web. I waited in a cell for, I don't know, I think it was less than an hour. The warden came in, asked what I was thinking, said that her phone was blowing up all weekend. I ruined her weekend. I shouldn't have talked to them. And I did apologize. I mean, at this point, I'm a little teary-eyed. I said, I didn't mean to cause issues. I answered a question. And when I told her that my daughter had, a trafficking experience, she rolled her eyes and flipped her hair back. And she was like, it's too late for apologies, and walked out.
Now, Julie was written up and sent to a...
Can we explain it? Maga, while you're here, can you just explain to me what Ghislaine Maxwell's doing in this minimum security prison? Enjoying her time for her 20-year sentence? Who's Maga here? Call him out. Lavish, you're complaining about taxes. Can you explain it? Tom, you want to explain it? Any of you guys want to address this? Any of you want to address why a pedophile's been given preferential treatment by the Trump administration? I bet you don't. I bet you're not going to respond to this stuff, huh? This is just one of those things that you ignore. Pretend is no big deal. Explain why Maxwell was at Chelsea Clinton's wedding, because the Clintons invited her and nobody gives a the Clintons aren't good people. Now you answer, Rory. Why did Trump move her to a minimum security prison? Roy, sorry, not Rory. Roy. Now you go. Yeah, that's what I thought, Tom. You're listening to fake news. No, just you don't, Tom. It doesn't matter if this is on CNN or not. Are you unaware? Are you unaware that she got moved to a minimum security prison? If you are, then maybe watch more fake news. If you didn't know that. Why is she there? Rory, catch and stray, sorry. Nothing, huh? Isn't that weird how quiet you guys go? We just want to know why Donald Trump moved Ghislaine Maxwell to a minimum security prison. Bribery. Who got bribed there? Did Trump get bribed? Let freedom ring? No, I think she was invited, Jamie. But and I think what the Clintons would say is that they didn't know. There were no charges against her at that time. I think that's what the Clintons would probably say, but still. I don't think she was a +1. I think she was invited. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure she was invited. Are you sure she was a +1? All right, well, we'll look it up.
Higher security facility in Houston, and she is now on supervised release. The warden of the Bryan prison, Aaron, declined to comment for this story.
Wow. All right, so
So she would confess it was a plea bargain? It's really not that hard to understand. She didn't confess, though, Andrew. She doesn't have a plea bargain. So it is hard to understand. She would confess it was a plea bargain. No, that didn't happen. Are you aware of that? That none of that happened? Exactly, to keep her mouth shut. Her mouth was shut. She hasn't said anything. She wasn't talking in the other prison either.
Retaliation claims, MJ, obviously are very significant, but you've also uncovered new allegations about how Maxwell was treated inside that facility. I mean, what did the
Okay, you're right. She came to the wedding as a +1 for somebody named Ted Waite. He's a tech billionaire. I don't know who that is. You're right. Okay, so she wasn't invited to the wedding. Debunks that talking point.
Inmates who were there with her describe to you?
Yeah, we spoke with the second inmate who was also at Bryan. She is anonymous. She's not going to be on camera because she's still serving time and is afraid of being punished even more. She described a very similar experience where she spoke with a reporter over the phone about Maxwell as well, and immediately she says she was kicked out of Bryan. This inmate...
The Bureau of Prisons moved her, not Trump. Yeah, who are they? So who is in control of that? Follow that up. They just moved her. They moved her to a place she's not allowed to be. Didn't tell Trump about it, for sure.
Overlapped with Maxwell for a number of weeks and says that she saw.
I don't know if I believe her story on that piping up. I think that's fair. If you don't want to believe that Ghislaine was a +1, that's fine. That's what she says. I'm look. You're not going to convince me that the Clintons never lied. If it turned out that Hillary Clinton was lying about that, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm fine with saying like you don't believe her on that. That's fair.
The special treatment that Maxwell was getting at the time.
Within a day of her arrival, we had armed guards.
Plans. I don't think we're focusing on the woman being held accountable instead of all the men. This is about corruption in the Trump administration. Like we do, the same corruption exists, right? Like they're covering up the Epstein files. This is part of the story, though. Powerful men are not being held accountable, and this is likely a move to make sure that Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't rat out powerful men. I'm with you on there, but I'm not trying to say like she's the one bad person. This is about the Trump administration. This is about them covering it up.
Marshals patrolling. If she had a visitation, she would get to, they closed the chapel. And
oh, yeah, they do. They just don't move people without the judge knowing. No, the judge is not involved in this. Try again.
And the indoor rec and allowed her to use that building for her personal visits when we had visitation, that happened in the visitation building, which is good. We didn't, no one wanted her around the kids or anything. She'd get bottled waters and clamshell meals delivered to her room.
A BOP.
Yeah, sure, Astro. Just explain to me what did you want me to be upset about during the Biden administration where corruption happens? Just give me some examples. I'll tell you if I was upset about it or not.
Spokesperson told CNN that the Bureau does not discuss details related to specific inmates and that it is committed to maintaining the highest standards of integrity, impartiality, and professionalism in the operation of its facilities. Now, inmates can communicate.
Tom, I'm responding. What do you want? Bill Clinton is one of the only people who has sat in front of Congress and testified on tape. I'm fine. Charge Bill Clinton. None of us give a fuck about Bill Clinton, but like you want Bill Clinton held accountable. He's the only one so far that has had any sort of accountability at all. And they couldn't tie him to a crime. If you want to tie him to a crime, do it. None of us are going to give a fuck. We all wanted Clinton to testify too. We all wanted that too. We're fine with that. And if you can pin a crime on Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton, we're with you. But he and Hillary are two of the only people who have been brought forward and testified under oath on camera. And Hillary's not even in the Epstein files. She's not accused of anything in the files. She was there as Bill Clinton's wife to testify about Bill Clinton. We're with you on that. But you got to hold that same standard across the board too. Where's all these other people? How come Howard Lutnick's deposition just barely wasn't on video? Do we know why? Howard Lutnik was with Epstein all the time. Why didn't they record that? Why aren't they releasing that video? Why did you get to see Bill and Hillary Clinton, but not Howard Lutnik? Hold a standard and we can be on the same time. This shouldn't be partisan. It's not partisan. None of us care what any prominent Democrat that goes down. We just want it. We want to investigate. The point is they're not investigating it. They're covering this all up.
With members of the media with prior approval, they said. The one prison expert that I spoke with said that it is absolutely not typical for an inmate to be punished for speaking to a reporter, Aaron. The DOJ and lawyers for Maxwell did not respond to requests for comment.
It's just incredible to actually hear people, though, talking.
I forgot to actually add this, but it was supposed to be on the outline anyways. I want to show you what happened. So Howard Lutnik lied under oath in front of Congress that he had met Jeffrey Epstein one time. He was in his house for 5 minutes. He realized very quickly that he was an evil man. He and his wife left and looked at each other on the way out and said, "We will never interact with that man again." And then we got the Epstein files, and it turns out not only was he interacting with him in business, he was taking his wife and his family to Epstein Island. He was going to events with Epstein. He lied. He did more than, you can't even accuse the Clintons of that. And yet he was allowed a deposition that was not under oath and was not recorded. That was on a podcast. Sonia, it was on a podcast and it was in front of Congress. It was both. He lied. He admitted the things that you're talking about is what he admitted. But he was asked that question about that podcast specifically in front of Congress. Yeah, there we go. Here's Democrats after coming out of the meeting with Howard Lutnik. Sorry, this is just coming out of my left headphones.
That interview was not videotaped. If Donald Trump had seen the video transcript, he would have fired Howard Lutnik. It was really
Doubtful. It's nice of O'Connor to say, give Trump a little credit that he would have fired Lutnik. But Trump's going to read that transcript, and he's not going to fire Lutnik.
embarrassing. He was asked very straightforward questions about whether he regretted misleading the American people. I mean, he said that he would never see Epstein again in 2005. And everyone knows that he took his wife and kids to see Epstein in 2012. And yet it was just contortions and lies and no acknowledgement that he misled the American public. And if you saw the exchanges that my colleagues had with him, you would see he made a farce of the English language. I mean, he was trying to define I as if saying that what
He's
he
not
really
going to read that transcript. He can't read. Yeah, you're right.
meant is that he would not see Epstein alone, but be totally fine with having his wife and kids see Epstein. It made no sense. And then he's raised even more serious concerns about the investigation. He originally had said that Epstein engaged in blackmail and recorded videotapes. Now he's saying, well, he was wrong. He was just speculating, and Epstein actually didn't engage in blackmailing. This raises the question of what the cover-up is. Did someone tell him to say that? I've not heard that that Epstein never engaged in blackmail. Why is Howard Lutnik changing his testimony, changing his story? He's lost.
Renee, good question. I'm just asking a plain and simple question. What were the reasons be for moving her to a different prison? They didn't ever give us a reason. We've not ever been given a reason as to why she was moved.
All credibility, and really it's a shame that the American people don't get to see what he did there. Total lack of truth and lack of honesty.
Yeah, I agree. Howard Lutnik should resign. That was absolutely mind-boggling what we just heard in the room. He was evasive, nervous, he was dishonest. He would not admit to lying, which he clearly did in the podcast. He said he was never in the room with Jeffrey Epstein ever again after the first time he met him. Yet he then admitted that he was in the room with Jeffrey Epstein. I had to ask him whether he and I were in the same room.
If you're calling Ro Khanna immigrant, you're just racist because he was born in Pennsylvania.
Because I couldn't understand his meaning of we were in the same room together. And so...
Can somebody get rid of Kish the bomb, please?
He said that Jeffrey Epstein was a sick man, that he would never want to be in the room with him again. Yet he was in the room with him again when he visited his island where Jeffrey Epstein raped women, underage women, and he brought his kids and his friends with him to that island.
How's he not fired? That's what I want to know. Like, how's he not fired? How does he lie in front of Congress? He's obviously intertwined with Epstein. If this administration is about not protecting pedophiles, if they're the ones that are going to sniff all this shit out, how does Howard Lutnik still have a job? Some of you saying he has secrets, he's got the goods. I think it's much more simple than that. Donald Trump doesn't care. That's why. If Donald Trump starts firing people for being in the Epstein files, then those people perhaps might say, wait a minute, you were in it more than I was. Yeah, that's probably right, Bear. He's not fired because he's a U.S. politician. Duh, your country's so corrupt. Yeah, but like Eric Swalwell just was forced out. Lots of people get forced out of administrations. It is corrupt. Also, Howard Lutnick's not a politician. He's a political appointee. He was not elected. You could fire him. Trump's fired lots of people from his staff already.
He met with Jeffrey Epstein. He said he never met with Jeffrey Epstein again socially, yet he admits that that was a social visit to his island. And so he was clearly being dishonest. He was clearly being evasive. And finally, he doesn't remember why he went to Jeffrey Epstein's island, which is also mind-boggling. He somehow remembers going to the island after pictures surfaced of him being at the island, but he doesn't remember why he went to the island. And we had the emails. That's why we found out he was at the island. This is absolutely absurd, and he should resign.
But Renee, just so you know, like Ghislaine Maxwell was in a low security facility and got moved to a minimum security prison. They were not identical. She was not in a maximum security prison. I don't know if I said that or if somebody else said that. If I said it, I misspoke. But she was in a lower security prison and she got moved to a minimum security prison. It is a better opportunity for her, or it's a better not opportunity. That's the wrong word. It's a better, easier place to serve your sentence.
Good afternoon, Congresswoman Ansari from Arizona's 3rd District.
Shout out,
After
Arizona.
What we have seen so far in this transcribed interview, I feel very comfortable saying that Howard Lutnik is a pathological liar who is enabling the most egregious cover-up in America.
Guy Fox says, please note, even with all of the market manipulation, Dow is still under 50,000. So can we still talk about the Epstein files? Where are we at? We're close to 50,000 on the Dow right now, aren't we?
In history, we have now gone through the timeline of events with him in detail, an excruciating
49,587.
detail, from when they met in 2005. This is Howard Lutnik and his wife meeting Jeffrey Epstein. He described it himself in great detail on a podcast last year where he said that they went to his home, they took a tour, and allegedly were so uncomfortable after seeing the massage tables in Jeffrey Epstein's home that Howard Lutnik went on this podcast to tell the American people that he himself, and my colleagues referenced the definitions he tried to change of what he meant there, but he said that he would never socially or professionally be involved or be in a room with Jeffrey Epstein again. Then in 2012, he took his family and his staff to Jeffrey Epstein's island.
That's after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted. After. Roy, we're with you. Okay, Virgin Island Congresswoman, yes. Chelsea Clinton's wedding, Bill Gates, all Democrat. Doesn't matter. What? Talk about this, Roy. I agree with you. They should all be investigated. Talk about this, Roy. Show that you're not just like a fucking hack. Just give us an explanation for why Howard Lutnik still has his job.
Focus my questions
And I also want to know why he was allowed to testify without being under oath and not being recorded.
Today on how he could have done that if him and his wife were truly so uncomfortable, especially when in 2008 we know that Jeffrey Epstein was accused and the sweetheart deal took place for soliciting a minor. Howard Lutnik tried to tell us in that room that he essentially didn't know any of that. I asked him, how did I, as a child at the time, see this all over the media about Jeffrey Epstein, and you, an adult who was this person's neighbor who had engaged with him before, how could you possibly not have known? I mean, the level of the lies that are taking place inside that room without video is unbelievable and part of this egregious cover-up.
He had to go see for himself.
I recommend that every single American, when this interview is released, read the document in full. You will see Howard Lutnik use phrases like how it's inexplicable and unsettling that he went
No,
to
Stone, not doing this. Both parties are in the files. It's beneficial for them to both attack each other on petty shit, but never take each other down properly. The Democrats voted unanimously to release the Epstein files. It is Democrats who are demanding investigations. If you are a Democrat in Congress, you cannot perform investigations. You're in the minority. You have absolutely no power. We're not both sidesing this shit. One party is covering it up. The other is demanding transparency. And Marjorie Taylor Greene has told you that she sat in the meetings when Trump said, we're not doing this shit. It was Trump who shut it down. We're not doing both sides shit with this one.
the island. That's how he defines it himself. It's inexplicable how this happened. He also tries to define all of their interactions as quote unquote meaningless and inconsequential. I think he's used those terms about 20 times so far and continues to use them. So I will just end by saying
that too. Not that they have you yelling across the aisle instead of yelling at the people involved. That's why we never get to the bottom of it. No, we're not getting to the bottom of it. Please stop. This isn't politics. Donald Trump says no. Republicans are cucky little bitches. They do whatever he says. This isn't politics. It's not partisanship. Trump said no, so they're not doing it. We can't get to the bottom of this because Trump said no. And the Department of Justice is responsible for investigating this, and they are sitting on their hands. We're not, like, you have to understand who investigates. It is not Congress. It is not politics. They don't even need Congress. The only reason Congress is involved is because the Department of Justice wouldn't fucking do it. So they had to pass a measure to force the Department of Justice to do it. And even though that has passed, the Department of Justice continues to refuse to investigate. It is Donald Trump and his Department of Justice choosing not to investigate. This is not partisanship. This is not politics. This is really fucking simple to understand. You have to be closing your eyes to try and be like, oh, this is both sides suck. No, this isn't sides. It's Donald Trump owning the GOP and them doing whatever he says, which is don't investigate.
Saying that there are real victims here. There are potentially over 1,000 women who were abused and raped when they were children. And even at the bare minimum, Howard Lutnik was aware of these things. He knew. It just demonstrates the culture of enabling these crimes and allowing rich...
Democrats had the files for years, and what did they do? No, they didn't. The Congress didn't have the files. You don't know how anything works. Members of Congress don't have the files. They had to pass legislation to force the release by the Department of Justice. If you're telling me that Democrat administrations also didn't force the Department of Justice to release the files, that's fine. I agree with you. But none of them were mandated by law to release the files and then didn't do it. That's only happened one time. The amount of hoops you have to jump through and the amount of flexibility you need to bend over backwards to ignore something that has never happened before and only this administration ever has done is pathetic. You are bending over backwards for Donald fucking Trump. I love him so much that I don't care if pedophiles run free. I'm just going to both sides this shit forever. Hillary had the files for sure. It was on her server, right?
People like Jeffrey Epstein and all of the other disgusting, rich and powerful men who committed these crimes to continue. Because people like Howard Lutnik knew these things were happening because they were all over the news and continued to engage and legitimize somebody like Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, we'll leave it there. At this point, I just have to assume that none of you are real people or have real thoughts of your own. This is there's no way. Like if you were put in public, if any of you were on camera and you were put on television, none of you would talk like this. You would all be forced to admit what everybody else has to admit when they're in front of somebody else who challenges them on why the Trump administration isn't releasing these files. There's not one of you who would publicly defend this because you know how that would go. You know everyone would be like, ew, gross. You do it behind a screen name because you love Donald Trump. Cindy said, just want to say, to be in a prison camp, you have to be serving a term of 10 years or less. There's no legal reason that evil bitch should be there. Thank you. And thank you and Jen for all you do. Yeah. No notes. No notes on that one. All right. JD Vance is starting to slide a little bit. He's kind of been crowned the next guy for the GOP. JD Vance is certainly going to run for president. Marco Rubio will probably run. I don't know who. Maybe Ron DeSantis will run as well again. But let's look at how his polling looks now. How popular he is as vice president.
Take a look here. Two key likely. One of these guys is probably running for president, right? If not both of them. That's what we could say. But take a look at their net approval among independents. GOP contenders for 2028. J.D. Vance, the vice president of the United States. Look at this. 44 points underwater, according to Fox News. That's absolutely atrocious.
According to Fox News, though, right? Fake news.
How about Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State? He's doing a little bit better, but not much. He's 36 points underwater. The bottom line is this: if a rising tide lifts all boats, then a sinking boat pulls everybody down with them. And that's exactly what's happening with Marco Rubio, exactly what's happening with J.D. Vance. So the bottom line is this: we look at Trump, he's struggling with independence to a historic degree, and it could have major ramifications come November, and it could definitely have major ramifications come 2028. Take a look.
Yeah, Journeyman, I'm with you. Neoliberals have funded the Cold War, funded the Forever Wars through campaign contributions to both sides. I agree. I'm not a neoliberal. I'm not a liberal. We're on the same page there. I'm not on that team either. Nobody gives a fuck about either of those teams. I don't know if that's what you're saying, but like, I'm with you there. Yeah. Team? What team am I on, Journeyman? Who would you like? Who do you tell me a politician that I like? Listen, I'll engage with you. You're making a lot of assumptions here. You might be new to this. You might be new to this stream. Just because I've covered Trump stuff so far doesn't mean I think the Democrats are doing a good job. Doesn't mean I'm a Democrat. I agree with you on the neoliberal stuff. We agree. He's on the same team, if you get my hint. Oh, are you saying I'm gay? I'm not gay. But your dad paid me $20 to come on his face last night, so that was cool. He doesn't even blink either. He's like Kobe Bryant with that pump fake. He just eyes wide open, didn't even flinch. Just Jay's favorite's Newsom. Yeah, I fucking love Gavin Newsom. He's so cool. We love him. Maybe this is why J.D. Vance is struggling though, because J.D. Vance, like every Republican right now, they have one strategy and one strategy only. It's the only one that can work because nothing is going right. So what do? You just don't answer questions. Here he is with George Stephanopoulos, just asked simply if he agrees with Donald Trump saying J.B. Pritzker is a criminal and should be in jail. And I'd ask any of you to cite a statute that J.D. Pritzker has violated that should put him in jail. But look at this non-answer from J.D. He's just a coward. And the American people aren't ready for like a squirmy coward like J.D. Vance.
If you agree with President Trump that Governor Pritzker has committed a crime.
Well, I think that Governor Pritzker has allowed a lot of people to be killed in the city of Chicago and elsewhere, George. I think that it's disgraceful, and I think that he absolutely should suffer some consequences for the fact that there are thousands of innocent Chicagoans who are dead because he failed to do his job.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was unaware that it was the governor's job to make sure nobody in the state died, but what's the crime there? You can like JB, you can not like JB. Frankly, I don't know a great deal about how he governs. But what's the crime? Do I really like Newsom? No, that was a joke. I do not like Gavin Newsom at all.
It's really a yes or no question. Do you believe he's committed a crime?
George, you're going to keep on asking this question. I'm going to keep on telling you that Governor Pritzker has failed to do his job.
How come none of your politicians answer questions? Just yes or no. You know the answer to this. He's not answering it because he's afraid to disagree with Donald Trump. And your entire party is afraid to publicly disagree with Donald Trump. And it's pathetic, and it's some real bitch shit, and it's some real cuck shit. And you guys cheerlead it. And that's why they have to do this. That's why they have to continuously go on TV and look like absolute bitches, because you demand it of them. You demand full loyalty to Donald Trump. Never disagree with Trump or you lose your place in the party. That's why he has to do this. He has to go on live television and not answer questions because you guys are so beholden to Donald Trump. Should be easy to answer. Yes, I think he committed a crime. Here's the crime he committed. No, I don't think he committed a crime. I disagree with the president. Simple answer. Why can't he answer it honestly? Because he's not allowed to disagree with Donald Trump. Nobody is.
He should suffer some consequences. Whether he's violated a crime, ultimately, I would leave to the courts, but I certainly think that
Democrats do the same thing. Again, whataboutism is stupid. When Democrats do the same thing, I also call them out. Not all Democrats do this, though. I don't agree with that. The Democrats forced Joe Biden to not run for re-election. For as bad as Democrats are, like they basically do nothing, which is better for a Republican. Or than a Republican, excuse me. But they forced out Joe Biden. You guys, Donald Trump is every bit as a compromise as Joe Biden and more. And you would never. He could sit up there, take his dick out, and piss all over the Oval Office and tell you guys he wasn't doing it. And you would be like, Democrats P2. There's literally nothing he could do. I don't want to hear this from you. Until you guys start calling out this behavior, you don't get a high ground here. Democrats ran out Joe Biden, literally the lowest bar possible. That should be like the lowest of low bars, and they did it. But you don't get to play whataboutism with this.
He has violated his fundamental oath of office. That seems pretty criminal to me.
Violating your oath of office is criminal? For what? How did he violate his oath of office, and how would that be criminal?
I'd leave it to a judge and jury to decide whether he's actually violated the crime.
Violated the crime. The crime is the action that you take. It would be like a statute or the law. You'd violate the law, but that's all right, JD Vance. Cowards. Maybe it's because he can't answer questions, and then when he does answer questions, they age like spoiled milk. This was what was the date on this? This was earlier this year on Venezuela. How's this going to play in a debate? We went to Venezuela, and they told us, this administration told us, it wasn't about oil. It was about a drug trafficking president. It wasn't about resources. It was about a drug trafficking president. It wasn't about stealing from another country. It wasn't about giving oil companies a gift. It was about drug trafficking. So how do you think this is going to play to the American people when JD Vance is running for president?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Taking out a dictator in Venezuela, how does that help the average American?
Well, a few things, Jesse. First of all, what it means is we're going to be able to control the incredible natural resources of Venezuela, which is good for America in a few ways.
Do we? Do we control the incredible natural resources of Venezuela? No. Did he say that that's how it was going to benefit people? Yeah. So do we benefit from it? No. There was no benefit. How's that going to play?
Number one, it allows us to put leverage on our enemies. Number two, it makes sure that if Americans need high quality, low cost power, we're always going to have access to it.
How's that going to look to Americans when we look at our skyrocketing energy prices?
And then the third thing is it does demonstrate American military excellence, which makes people afraid to cross us in the future. Some of the best ways that you maintain the peace is to make it clear that you carry a very strong sword if you ever need to use it.
For sure, because ever since that, the world's been really fucking peaceful, right? Everybody was afraid to cross us once we saw what happened with Maduro. That's why Iran just capitulated immediately to our demands, right? That's why China stopped stealing our secrets. That's why Russia stopped infiltrating all of our politicians and our elections, right? Because they're all afraid. Everybody got afraid after we got Maduro, or we kicked off like 10 wars.
So I think it's good for us in a lot of different ways. We also have to remember, Jesse, this is in our neighborhood. This is not Iraq. This is not 7,000 miles away. This is in our neighborhood. If we cannot follow the basic principle, which...
How's that going to age? Remember, it's in our neighborhood, which... We want to look at this world map here. Hold on real quick. Pull this up. I would argue that this is not our neighborhood. But at least it's not Iraq. That's 7,000 miles away. You know what's a little further than Iraq? Iran. So how's that going to age? Oh, no, we're only doing it because it's here. Whoops.
Which has been a cornerstone of American foreign policy for 200 years, that we control our neighborhood. A lot of bad people are going to take advantage of it. What the President of the United States said is, in our neighborhood, the United States calls the shots. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it is again under the President's leadership.
That's the way it's always been. We've always been able to tell other countries what to do with their resources. That's the way it's always been. How's that going to age? We're not the world's police. What's he going to run on? Or is the next GOP president or presidential hopeful going to run on "We are the world's police"? We're the world's police now. Are you guys going to go from America first, we're not the world's police, in 2024 to 2028? America last, we are the world's police. Is that your plan? At the very least, Vance is a liar. At best, he's incompetent. Yeah, I don't even know how competent he is. He's pretty unsuccessful. How about this? How's this going to work? How about just calling something that is constitutional unconstitutional?
Technicality than any disagreement in policy. If you look at the people who actually voted, every single one of them have supported the administration's plan. Second of all, as the president, I believe himself has already said, every president, Democrat or Republican, believes the War Powers Act is fundamentally a fake and unconstitutional law. It's not going to change anything.
If it's a law, it is neither fake nor unconstitutional. It is both real and constitutional. That's how our Constitution is set up. If Congress passes a law, it is now constitutional. What you'll also notice is you have no evidence of any president ever outside of Trump calling the War Powers Act fake and unconstitutional. How's this going to age?
A fake and unconstitutional law. It's not going to change anything about how we conduct foreign policy over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. And that'll continue to be how we approach things. Go ahead.
All right. And then last but not least, how about the fact that J.D. Vance can't pick a winner and he tanks everything? How about the groveling in front of a failed dictator who was easily beat in an election, run out by his own people as unequivocally the worst country in the European Union? And a president in Viktor Orban who was a complete and total Vladimir Putin stooge. J.D. Vance used American resources and time to go over and grovel and suck the dick of Viktor Orban right before he got blown the fuck out by his own people.
You and so do I, because you're such an important part of what has made Europe strong and prosperous. You're one of the true statesmen, I would say one of the only true statesmen in Europe, one of the few people who could talk to people from all over the world, can play the role of peacemaker, can play the role of economic statesman. We have a lot of great
He's probably the most least respected members of the European Union. It is wildly accepted amongst every country outside of ours that this guy is just Vladimir Putin's puppet. And our vice president went over to tell him how great of a statesman he was. We're the only ones that think that. How come all of the people that this administration likes are like Putin puppets?
Economic relationships, trade relationships that we're going to talk about today, but most of all, I just appreciate Victor's friendship, because it is very rare you have somebody with his combination of diplomatic skill and wisdom. It's very, very important to us that we continue to keep this relationship ongoing, and I know you have an election in 5 or 6 days, and we wanted to come and say good luck. Thank you. That's what he's.
Yeah. J.D. Vance, I don't know. If you guys choose him as your nominee, you're out of your fucking minds. But I don't think it matters who you choose. I think you're in trouble. Let's move on to FBI Director Kash Patel, who's having a real tough time. The Atlantic is eviscerating him. If you remember, he sued the Atlantic, and it was a dumb thing for him to do because it was a well-sourced story that he has a drinking problem. And in their first story, they didn't give everything that they had. And so they released the article. Kash Patel, believing that was the entire thing, then opened up a lawsuit. And we said at the time, this is a bad move by Kash Patel because now we're going to get discovery. And the Atlantic now is showing their hand. They're saying, hey, go ahead, Kash. And they're just letting Kash come out and make statements. And then they prove that he's wrong over and over. And now Kash Patel is scouring the FBI, trying to get rid of all of the people who are ratting him out. And they're ratting him out because he's inept and he's an alcoholic and nobody respects him. So he can't find the leakers because it seems like the leakers might be legitimately everybody.
Including yet again current and former FBI officials, told Fitzpatrick that it is not unusual for Patel to travel with a supply of personalized branded bourbon.
Now, again, this is Jen Psaki, but she's reporting on this article from The Atlantic. This is, I think, the third or fourth article now.
Among us. Now, the 750 milliliter bottle that he travels with is engraved with Kash Patel's name and title, FBI Director. Classy.
Not great. I'm not an alcoholic. What is that? Oh, that's my own branded whiskey that I travel with everywhere. Not a drinker, though? No, not much of a drinker. If you would like to throw off the scent of you being an alcoholic FBI director, perhaps don't travel with your own branded bottle of liquor.
As well as the symbol of the FBI shield. Now, if you look just below the shield on the screen, you will see Kash Patel's name yet again, but this time spelled.
I don't think anybody, Noodle Poodle, is saying that we're paying for that. I don't believe this is taxpayer funded. If it is, I don't think anybody's confirmed that, so I wouldn't assume that.
His preferred way, of course, with $1.
That's a good point. We've also seen Kash Patel like binge drinking with the hockey team. We saw him drunk on a video smashing beers. Who in the world is going to believe that this guy doesn't have an alcohol problem? He's at clubs all the time. He has this weird like relationship. He lives in Vegas, but he just lives with this rich dude, and his girlfriend lives in Tennessee. But Kash Patel is like at the clubs every weekend in Las Vegas with this rich dude that he lives with. It's very strange. Not casting any aspersions, but it's very strange.
Sign instead of an S. Again, stay classy, Kash Patel. Stay classy. Patel also appears to have signed some bottles, writing his signature and then the number 9, presumably because he's the 9th person to hold the title of the director of the FBI, which leads me to believe
he's signing other people's whiskey bottles. Yeah, just like, bro, if you've got a drinking problem and you want to keep it a secret, don't sign people's whiskey bottles. Don't travel with whiskey bottles. Don't go on national television, or I guess that wasn't television, on social media and show you like smashing beers. He's like, I'm sorry, Kash. I think he thought he was untouchable, but everybody that works for him thinks he's a fucking joke, and now they're burying him. And by the way, this is a man who has no experience in the FBI. He was, I think he was a member of the Secret Service, and then he was like the impeachment lawyer, and then he wrote some children's books calling Donald Trump a king, and then he was the FBI director. Nobody respects him.
he has spent an awful lot of time on this particular merch project, right? Now, Fitzpatrick also writes that Patel has distributed these self-branded bottles to staff and civilians while on official business, including during at least one FBI event, and that Patel has even used Justice Department aircraft to transport cases of his Bourbon merch. Now, when the Atlantic reached out...
I think it's beautiful for some of you, like, Juan, I know that you hate Rachel Maddow and Jen Psaki and you're calling her girlfriend, but this has got to be a great way to live your life. You don't have to believe anything that Republicans don't report. So if Republicans don't report it, you don't have to believe it. That's the great thing about being a conservative. You only have to believe what you want to believe. And the fact that your news doesn't ever tell you the truth is a benefit for you, because like, oh, this is great. I never have to believe any bad news. In fact, I can live in a country that is falling apart and go, is it going well? Let me check Fox News. Fox News, Jesse Waters said, it's never been a better time. Oh, fuck. I guess things are the best they've ever been. And then you just move on with your day.
For comment, the FBI didn't even dispute that Patel has been giving out these branded booze bottles. Instead, a spokesperson said that Patel has followed all applicable ethical guidelines and pays for any personal gifts himself.
Oh, so it's confirmed? Now what do we do about that? Now what do we do about you don't believe her, but the FBI confirms it? So do you believe the FBI now? Do you believe this story now? Or do you still not believe it because Jen Psaki is talking about it?
And portrayed the gifting of booze, bourbon, personalized bourbon, as routine. Saying that the bottles in question are part of a tradition in the FBI that started well over a decade ago. Is it now? And guess what? When Fitzpatrick tried to fact-check that statement, it fell completely apart. The FBI declined to provide images of bottles bearing the name.
Jamar said, damn it, might be too late for me to track Kash down in Vegas to get an autograph. I would have sent it to you. Well, good luck finding him. There's a lot of people over 5 feet in Vegas, and it's crowded, so it's going to be tough to find him. You might want to crouch. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunding. We got about 2 hours left of the show today. You've done a great job. Thanks for helping us knock out that gift goal. But if you would like to help us knock out that gift goal each and every day, Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal are the way to go, or Super Chats. Just a reminder, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal take less of the money. So if you want to make sure we get most of it, I would recommend there. Now we'll continue with Cash.
Of any past directors, maybe because...
I also want to see Cash handing out these bottles, because those bottles must look huge when Cash is like holding them. You're like, holy shit, that's massive. And then it's just like a normal bottle.
They don't exist. And when Fitzpatrick asked a former senior FBI official if he had ever seen any personally branded liquor bottles distributed by any previous FBI directors, he burst out laughing. Now, the story here is, it's not just that Kash Patel allegedly drinks a lot. By this point, we've all seen...
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. He's not, he doesn't have a drinking problem. He's fine. He was just over in Italy as the FBI director partying with the hockey team. He's fine. He doesn't have a drinking problem. He's totally focused on his job. It's very normal for the FBI director to be partying with the hockey team at the Olympics. This is all very, very normal. He doesn't have a drinking problem.
Him drinking with our own eyes. We all remember that visual. The story is that Kash Patel allegedly drinks a ton at work as the boss in a workplace that traditionally has had a zero-tolerance approach to drinking on the job and even the abuse of alcohol off duty, because it is our chief law enforcement agency. Now, the lawyer for another former agent, former assistant director in charge of the FBI's Washington field office, Stephen Jensen, told Fitzpatrick, quote, "There are line agents out there spending their nights and weekends trying to finish warrants, write reports, plan arrests. Yet the FBI director apparently has the time to design logos, go to hockey games, sit for multi-hour podcast interviews. This is one of the most serious jobs in the country, not a vehicle for self-promotion and branding."
I'd also drink on the job if Trump was my boss. That's fair. Maybe we're being too hard on him. Maybe that's the problem. All right, more reporting here. And by the way, this isn't like gossip shit. This is the FBI director out drinking all the time, to the point that the people who work for him are saying it is making us less capable of doing our jobs. The criticism isn't that somebody drinks. The criticism here is that the people that work for him are making the claim that he is not an effective leader, and that it is making it harder for them to do their job because their boss is a drunk. It's not gossip. It's not finger pointing. These are whistleblowers. These are people trying to tell you and report to you that the FBI director is a drunk and it is making you less safe. And you're like, who cares, dude? Trump likes him, so I like him. Now, Kash, like we said, these whistleblower reports come out, and if it wasn't a problem, he certainly wouldn't be going around trying to track all these people down, right? Now what's he doing? This is Carol Leonnig.
So this is a person hunting for leakers pretty actively, and I think you've raised this point before, which is a smart one. How do you claim you're defamed? But
you say him being drunk doesn't make us less safe. The people that work for him disagree. They tried to get there was at one point they had to call in and get like breaching equipment because they couldn't get a hold of the FBI director because he was passed out after a night of partying and they needed him. I believe it was, I don't remember which, I don't remember it was the Charlie Kirk shooting or another one. Like they couldn't get a hold of him because he was out partying all the time. Again, like you can say whatever the fuck you want, but members of the FBI are ratting him out and saying this is making our job more difficult. We need a competent FBI director. I'll be drinking for Kash tonight. There you go. Hey, Piper. Phoenix says, easiest ways to find Kash is looking for $1 cocktail nights at the casino. Problem is for Kash, all drinking is underage for him. Ox Black said, for tolerating all the soft fascist conservatives. I don't even think these are fascists. I just think these are like dick riders. Like we're not. Like we've lost. Like the MAGA base is gone. It's literally just trolls left.
also
How do we fix it? You start holding people accountable. You put pressure. I mean, the only way to get Kash Patel fired is if Donald Trump feels like it's going to hurt Donald Trump if he doesn't fire him. What would be nice is, even if you guys want to just like blow Donald Trump all day, every day, when the people that work for him do a bad job, the least you could do is just criticize them.
for people who released information that you believe maybe is sensitive or is somehow protected. You know, as we reported at MS Now a couple of, I can't remember if it was 2 days ago or a day.
I was just told I was so full of shit, my eyes are brown. Very clearly, I have blue eyes. And if you stare too long, you, like your father, might get lost in them and fall in love with me. So be careful, Brendan. I don't want you falling in love with me.
But it was basically a finding that Patel had ordered this investigation into the leaks or the sources to an Atlantic magazine piece that described how FBI agents were super worried about the leadership of the Bureau because of Patel allegedly engaging in drinking to excess.
It's gossip if your only source is MSNBC. The source is the FBI agents. The source isn't MSNBC. The person speaking is Carol Leonnig. The source are multiple whistleblowers, and the original source was the Atlantic. Again, it's got to be fun being you guys, where you just get to see a logo and be like, I don't believe it because of a logo.
On a pretty regular basis, and having to
I want the old FBI back? No, I want a better FBI. Is that the only option? James, the option wouldn't be the old FBI coming back. I want a better FBI, and if you're a shitty FBI director, you should be fired. That's easy. Donald Trump fired James Comey because James Comey wouldn't pledge his loyalty to him. You can't fire drunky dipshit here. Just get a better FBI director. Fire him, get someone better. We just want a better one.
Schedule meetings in the mornings after these quote unquote alcohol-fueled events. We also then learned, because once you report one story, more people want to tell you more about other things that disturb them. We learned that Patel has ordered the polygraph of all of
You're only interested in my one brown eye? All right, that's fair.
These agents, a very large group who used to travel with him and who travel with him now, to try to find out who may be talking to reporters. This is sending a real chill through the FBI, but even more worrisome to them, Nicole, is the way in which Patel has not agreed to meet with lots and lots of other operational leaders in the Bureau. This worries people.
I mean, how many of you could have all the, like, if you're a bot, let's say you manage people at your job, how many of you would keep your job if the people that worked for you were coming forward with these stories saying, like, you're just constantly drunk, doesn't do his job, here's a bunch of videos of him being drunk, here's the bottles of alcohol that he hands out, and then he's like, I don't have a drinking problem. In fact, I'm going to fire everybody who told on me. None of you could keep your job this way. Like, where's your bar? If you think that any of you would keep your job? Prove it. You keep on saying it, but prove it. What do you want me to do, Brendan? How would you like me to prove this? So is that what you think, Brendan, that just like all these FBI whistleblowers are just lying? For what reason? Why in the world would they lie about this? This puts their job in jeopardy. Why would they come out and risk their job to say this about Kash Patel? Show a vid of him being drunk during the day, at least. I don't have a video of him being drunk during the day. Is that what it takes for you? I'm just reporting what the people at the FBI are saying. The FBI never lies. Well, Kash Patel's FBI. So you're choosing to believe Kash Patel, who's been caught lying multiple times. What do you mean, why would libs lie about conservatives? Are you saying these FBI agents are liberal? How do you know that? Oh, bad. I'll slow it down. We are talking about FBI agents reporting and whistleblowing that Kash Patel is an incompetent drunk and they want a better leader because they can't keep the country as safe if Kash Patel is a drunk dipshit. That's the news here.
People, because there's a regular sort of line of threats and investigations that the Bureau director needs to be briefed on and needs some input on. Of course, there are some decision points that he must be involved in, and this is worrying them. I agree that we should emphasize that the FBI spokesperson, Ben Williamson, said that Kash is having meetings with senior leaders.
Renee, don't lie about what the story is. The story is not that he's giving out booze. You're just being a dipshit on purpose. The story is that he's drunk. Him giving out booze is further it's more evidence that this guy's life revolves around alcohol. If you're going to say that this story is about him giving out booze, I get it. I get why you're Republican. You're incapable of looking at an entire picture. What's the entire picture here? The people that work for him say he's a drunk. There's videos of him being drunk. There's reports of him being drunk. There's reports like there's videos of him at clubs every weekend night. Like he is compromised. This is not how any FBI director should act. And the only reason you guys are defending him right now is because of Donald Trump. This is so easy. This should be the easiest thing. This is like Howard Lutnik earlier. Earlier we showed you like Howard Lutnik lies about being friends with Epstein, gets caught, and you were like, Clintons. I do think it's a good time for a Blue Chew ad. Let's go with this one. Fun fact, your dad's dead. Fun fact, I'm a necrophiliac. Blue Chew, give me all the dicks. We did need a Blue Chew ad.
But he wasn't extremely specific about those he's not meeting with.
All right. I don't remember if I had anything else there. Yeah, I got one more here. Because now it's also people at the UFC who are making this accusation. And Kash Patel freaking the fuck out.
I ask you about new reporting in The Atlantic that details an incident in which the FBI director, Kash Patel, bought at least one case of his personalized bourbon to the FBI's training facility in Quantico for a training seminar with UFC athletes in March. According to The Atlantic, at one point, at least one bottle went missing, which caused the director to, quote, lose his mind, according to clients of Kurt Suzdak, a retired agent who's assisted the FBI with legal issues.
So we got FBI agents who are accusing him. Now you've got Kurt Suzdak, whose clients are accusing him. Just everybody's out to get him because they hate Donald Trump. Is that right?
He told The Atlantic multiple agents contacted him for legal guidance after Patel began threatening to polygraph and prosecute his staff over the missing bottle. Meantime, Chris, I want to ask.
He polygraphed his staff for missing a bottle. Yeah. That's cool, huh? All right, and then just one more reminder here. I think I've shown this every day. According to the Epstein files, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have covered up for powerful pedophiles here, saying some photographs depict victims, unknown identified females and males, former U.S. President, Secretary of State, and other celebrities. And this is the documentation they were given on who to black out. Don't show pictures of U.S. presidents, Secretary of State, and other celebrities. They also lied to protect pedophiles because that's what your party's all about. We're gonna get a lot of. Well, let me go here. I want to get to. Yeah, I want to get to this. Shift gears here. I want to get to this video from More Perfect Union. We talk about this a lot, but the reality of AI is becoming more and more clear. That we don't have a plan for it. The AI clearly is going to eliminate a bunch of jobs. I saw somebody, I don't remember who it was, it's somebody who usually disagrees with me earlier, say that the reality, like if AI takes these jobs, we have to do universal basic income. And that's a mind fuck. And I would ask conservatives, like, what do we do here? Because you're against universal basic income, but you're also promoting a technology and selling out our country for this technology that's going to take jobs. What's the plan? What's the plan when people don't have jobs anymore? And this was incredibly enlightening, but sobering. This from More Perfect Union is about 16 minutes long. It follows a bunch of workers that have been doing essentially gig work. They're doing contract work to help build out these AI programs that are eliminating their own jobs. And they're getting paid really, really well at times to create technology that will make themselves obsolete. And I just want to know who in our government is ever going to give us a plan for what happens when all these jobs are gone. Because right now what it looks like is that as these jobs are removed, the owners of the AI companies are going to get all the money. So where's the money? Like, where's the money going to go to feed people who lose their jobs? What jobs are they going to have? Don't you think we should have a plan for that? Whatever side of the aisle you're on, can we at least maybe we can find some agreement here? Can you just give me a thumbs up if you know what the plan is from Republicans for what happens when AI replaces all these jobs? Just give me a thumbs up, and then I'll look for your comments so you can tell me what the plan is, because I haven't seen a plan.
ChatGPT. I definitely worked on Gemini. I'm shown, like, honestly, some like things that humans should never really witness.
The AI job crisis is here, but it's not what you've been told.
You've said AI can spike unemployment to 10 to...
My friend, I'm not saying AI is a left or right thing. I'm saying that the people who are pushing these data centers and who are that are currently in power in the government, which is Republicans, they own the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They're the ones that are in charge. I'm just asking what their plan is. Stoic. Stay with me here. Stop. This isn't a partisan thing. I'm not talking about it partisanly. What is the plan? Because we don't know.
20% in the next 1 to 5 years. Yes.
Tech CEOs talk about a future in which AI systems will soon do away with the need for human labor. But this rhetoric conceals a more sinister reality. While AI is triggering layoffs, its development is also driving the rapid growth of a new kind of worker.
I could set alarms for specific jobs, and if that alarm went off in the middle of the night, I was up, and I would work until the tasks ran out.
It's a hidden workforce, which Silicon Valley first recruited in low-wage countries, with college graduates making up a record share of the unemployed. Data annotation and AI training are among the fastest growing jobs in the US. So I set out to talk to these workers. I wanted to know, how is AI actually affecting work in this country?
So I see you fused, Orphan said, I train AI, I hate that, but I can't get work anywhere else. That's what this is about. Like all of these, like this is such a mind fuck for all of these. It has to be. I think there's probably plenty of people here that work in AI, but when your job is to train AI and you're seeing what you're training AI to do, you're like, oh, I have to take all the knowledge that I've accumulated, which is like your capital. It's your ability to like create a livelihood for yourself. And you're like, oh, I'm going to train this model to know everything I know. And then as the person who trains this model, I'm going to be replaced by the model, which will then train itself. Like that's got to be an absolute mindfuck for those of you that work in that industry.
I'm essentially just working as an anxious rabbit the entire process. Like, will this end tomorrow?
And how do we make sure AI works for all of us, rather than so many of us having to work for AI?
The kind of inequality that we're talking about here could be something we've never experienced.
I was talking to my mom, and I just started crying. I'm like, I can't see where this money is coming from.
Jen is an Ivy League PhD graduate from a small southern town.
I appreciate that, Drew. And I think that's fair. Republicans don't have a plan. And you said, I'm not, oh, you're making fun. Yeah, that's not political. I'm sorry, it's not. That's who's in charge right now. And if Democrats were in charge right now, I'd ask the same thing. It's not political, but they are the ones driving. It's largely in blue states. Like blue states aren't the ones like pushing these data centers. These data centers are going to red states, and they're going to red states because red states keep being suckered into believing that this is going to create jobs for them, and it's not. So they're giving out these massive tax subsidies to these AI data centers with the promise that it's going to bring thousands of jobs, and those jobs are temporary construction jobs. That's why they're all being built in red states, because there's this ideology that like, oh, business is always good. Innovation is always good. We just want to know what the plan is. And that's fair to say, like, Democrats' plan is to hate Trump, too. Again, I'm not a Democrat. My plans are not popular with Democrats. What I would do to change these things are not popular plans with Democrats. If I went and sat with all the Democrats in Congress and I said, here's what I would like to do, I promise you I would hate the Hakeem Jeffries and the Nancy Pelosi's just as much as I hated the Mike Johnsons, because they would oppose my plans, too. But the reality is right now that the people pushing it don't have a plan. So I'm just asking you, if there is a plan, rather than you complaining about me pointing out that there's no plan, can you tell me what the fucking plan is? Do any of you know what the plan is? I would not, what my plan would be, I wouldn't build the fucking data centers. I would do what China's doing. I would pass laws saying that you cannot replace workers with AI. I wouldn't do it. I think this is stupid. But if I was going to replace it, if I was a Republican and I was like, okay, I want to push this innovation, the way I would sell it as a Republican would to say, look, we're going to push all this innovation and a lot of you are going to lose your jobs, but we're going to create so much wealth and so much money that we're going to give you universal basic income. And then perhaps you would hire people to work in the park services. Perhaps you would hire more teachers. Perhaps you would hire more librarians. You would hire things that make people's lives better. I would focus, if I was Republicans then, if I was going to do this, I would allow AI to replace those jobs, and I would give people jobs with more meaning. Something that like directly benefits and makes people around them's lives better. That's what I would do if I was a Republican. But there is no fucking plan, and that's the point. I could be persuaded by Republicans. Like, if we really need to drain all these resources, I need to know some things. I need to know how we're going to pay for the power. I need to know how we're going to get water. You look at what's happening in Texas. They already are in a drought. They don't have water. And these data centers take up massive amounts of water. And there doesn't seem to be a plan for that either. Whether you're left, right, middle, it doesn't matter. Don't you think that if you're going to take something like AI, which is going to change a lot of things if what they say they can do, don't you think there should be a plan for that? Bad Bambi, we're not for more immigration. That's a lie that you've been told. What I'm in favor of is loose immigration laws and strong work laws, so that if you come here illegally, you cannot work. If you are undocumented, you can't work. And the way that I would do that is I would go and I would put harsh penalties on any employer who hires undocumented workers. And if you go after the employers who hire undocumented workers will stop coming here. And so if you have immigration laws that are sensible and to make it easy for people to work, and you force employers not to pay people under the table, then you would have a much better system, and immigration would be dictated by jobs that we have available. And if we can't fill the jobs here in America with people who already live here, then other people would come here. But this is one of those examples that you guys keep accusing me of, like just divide, divide, divide. Understand what my position is. Understand what Democrats' position is. You keep getting your talking points. Like, you think that Democrats believe that we should just have an open border. There's not a single Democrat ever who has advocated for an open border. Not one. So how is it that without a single Democrat proposing legislation for an open border or demanding an open border or advocating for an open border, how have you become a person who believes that? When every time I place something here, you're like, proof, I need proof. Where's your proof that Democrats want an open border? And you're just going to point to like Joe Biden, which also wasn't an open border. But my way is sensible. You want market principles to operate? You're a free market capitalist? You like that? Then operate like a fucking market. Regulate like fucking markets are supposed to. Make sure that nobody in this country can work here illegally. Fix those laws by going after employers. Not the workers, go after the employers. Workers don't show up and start working and then the employer's like, oh, I guess I have to pay you. Do that. If you're actually free market capitalists like you all say you are, then operate like free market capitalists.
Jen is not her real name. Like most people we talk to, she asked to be anonymous for fear that tech companies could retaliate.
Well, I highly doubt they want this information public.
Last year, as she was wrapping up her degree, she started looking for a job.
You start off like, this is my goal, I know I'm qualified for it, then it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. Over the past year, I've applied to over 200 roles and I got maybe 3 callbacks.
Graduates.
I see that, Monkey Lee. You said because elite donors spread propaganda to divide us. True, but also, like, This is what I fucking hate about the way that we blame people. Yeah, it's true. The elite people and these corporations spread propaganda, but like, I'm a human being. It doesn't fucking work on me. It doesn't work on me because like I educated myself. That only works on lazy fucking people. Propaganda doesn't work on everybody. It's lazy, partisan people. So I agree. By the way, if anybody that's like, everybody knows there's two things that I care about more than anything. If I was president for a day and I got to sign into 2 pieces of legislation and to fix this country, so you get 2 pieces of legislation, do like what's going to fix the country the quickest? I would end Citizens United, meaning that there's no more money in politics. There's no money in campaigns. You can't fundraise. All campaigns, all elections are federally funded. No commercials on TV. It's just debates. You run on your policy, and it's all ranked choice. So it doesn't matter what party you're a member of. You show up for an election. You show up to the debates. You get signatures that you need to be on the ballot. No money. And the second is single payer Medicare for all, which lifts like 30% of this country out of poverty, and it eliminates the number one cause for bankruptcy in the country, which is medical bankruptcy. Those are the 2 things that I would do. It's very, very simple. So like even the thing that you're talking about, I would get rid of. Why? Not because like I can see through the bullshit, and people who are educated, and I don't mean like college educated, people who educate themselves, you can see through the bullshit. Propaganda doesn't work on people who research shit. But I also have an understanding that there's like most of America doesn't know any of this shit. Most of America is propagandized. Right, left, middle, doesn't. Most of America just hears something that resonates with them and they're like, yeah, that's what I believe. So the solution to that is get all money out of politics. That's the solution. Who's pushing for that? Support the politicians that are pushing for that. If you're on the right, that means Thomas Massie. But you don't want, the right is running Thomas Massie out right now. If you're on the left, that's AOC, that's Elizabeth Warren, that's Bernie Sanders, that's Rashida Tlaib, that's Ilhan Omar. Coincidentally, the people that the right wants you to fear the most. Why do you think they're so feared? If we're going to agree that the reason that people are so propagandized is because of these wealthy people propagandizing people, then explain to me why the most hated people on the left are the only ones saying get money out of politics. Who the fuck do you think is paying for you to be propagandized to hate them? Every time I bring up those names, the chat is littered with lies about AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Ilhan Omar and Bernie Sanders. Somebody is going to say AOC is worth $30 million. Somebody in the chat today is going to say AOC was broke when she came in and now she's worth $30 million. It happens every day, and it's a fucking lie. Somebody's going to say that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are funded by Big Pharma, which they're not. They're completely funded by donors, individual donors, and some of them work in the medical industry, in the pharmaceutical industry. And a lot of them do, which is crazy because what Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders advocate for is single payer healthcare. So even the people who work in that industry that would be eliminated if Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren got their way, even those people are giving the money. That's how bad they know our system fucking sucks. The people that work in the industry are like, we need to abolish this fucking industry. And yet there are billionaires in that industry who are actively pushing out propaganda, lying about the very people who are trying to bring down the corruption. The most hated people in Congress on the right and the left are the ones trying to end corruption. And all the people sucking the dick of whoever it is, like their party leaders, those are the corrupt people. Look for the people who consistently disagree and who are consistently called crazy. Those are almost always, like, you can even take Marjorie Taylor Greene. She said a lot of batshit stuff that I don't agree with. But for her time in Congress, there were times when Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, she wanted to go after corruption. She wasn't good at recognizing corruption. She missed it with Donald Trump, and she's apologized for that now. But those are the people those are the types of people that we should elect. So lose the partisan shit. But it's easy.
Today are facing the worst job market in years. To make ends meet, Jen got on food stamps, moved in with her sister, and started working for $15 an hour as a cashier and substitute teacher. Then she saw a job posting on LinkedIn for $55 an hour.
I think the role I saw was philosophy intelligence analyst. I'm looking, I'm like, well, Why wouldn't I be able to do that?
After applying, she got a job interview, but not with a human.
Let's start by discussing the languages you speak.
That's
I
crazy.
am fluent in English and Chinese, and I consider English to be my primary native language.
Thank you for sharing that.
While reporting this story, I got a recruiting message from the same company. So I did an interview to see what Jen's experience was like. I feel like my English is really...
Yeah, I'm with you. La di. Justice Democrats, look them up. See how much corporate money they take.
excellent because I spend all of my time using it.
It sounds like your job as an investigative journalist really enriches your use of the English language.
The company is called Mercor, and it's one of many contractors which connect companies like OpenAI and Google to a distributed workforce to train and improve their AI systems. In the same way, the AI boom has led to unprecedented growth in data
Chat
centers.
GPT it back to him. Just, you probably somebody needs to do that. Get an AI system to like interview another AI system and just train the AI system that's being interviewed to make that interview go as long as possible. Somebody's smarter than me needs to figure that out.
Construction.
What's my position on deportations? You're gonna have to be more specific on that.
It has also created an insatiable appetite for these workers.
AI companies kind of present these tools as digital technology.
Tim Newman is a labor researcher who studies the tech sector.
But this is really the result of an entire global supply chain, everything from mineral extraction to manufacturing to data centers and the data workers.
For years, tech companies searched for data workers largely outside the US, in low-wage countries like Kenya and collapsing economies like Venezuela. But that is shifting as AI companies push to build more capable systems.
With GPT-5, now it's like talking to an expert, a legitimate PhD level expert that can help you with whatever your goals are.
So one of the big narratives that's developing in the AI space is that in order to make the next big leap forward, what they need to do is fit the use case for very specific industries.
We've gone from maybe the models being like a smart high school student to really starting to get at the PhD level.
So in order to make these kind of leaps forward, the companies are really seeking out people with expertise.
AI firms are looking for...
Do I support the deportations of illegal immigrants, regardless of their personal situation? I believe it is lawful. If I could, I would change the rules. Do I believe that if you are here and you're undocumented, can you be deported? Yes. You have due process, so you have to go through the court system. That's just the Constitution. If you don't like that, you can change it. I would change the law. I would take anybody who is here and who is working and has not committed a crime. I would give them amnesty. I would give them the right to work in this country, and I would immediately turn them into a taxpayer, which bolsters our economy.
Expertise in pretty much everything because their models are only as good as what they're trained on.
We're lacking consistency, so you often hear some of our competitors talk about, these modern systems that we have today are PhD intelligencers. I think that's a nonsense. They have some capabilities that are PhD level, but they're not in general capable.
By catering to this demand, the 4 largest data work startups have each had gross revenue of roughly $1 billion a year. Scale AI claims to have more than 700,000 graduates at its disposal, while Mercor says it has around 30,000 active professionals, like Jen.
We all get a message in our group comms where it's like, actually, this contract is ending.
2 weeks after Jen started her first project, right before her graduation, Mercor pulled the rug.
So I'm like, what do I do? Can I even afford this? Should I not get this dinner to celebrate my graduation anymore?
The next month, Mercor offered her a second project, but the pay had dropped to $45 an hour. When she pushed back, she was ghosted. A few months later, Mercor offered her $35 an hour.
I signed it, even though last year I would have found it so offensive.
She had learned her lesson. With this kind of work, you have to take whatever you're offered. And if you're ever offered a high-paying task, it's a race against the clock.
My last contract from Mercor offered me $101 an hour. I told the teacher, you're not going to see me next week because I'm going to try to max out all these hours before they end the role. I did those 40 hours, role ended the next day. I shouldn't have to do that. No one should have to do that. Just disrupt everything. It's predatory.
That's what's gross. These jobs, and these jobs will count as new jobs. They put out all these job postings, and if they have a bunch of respondents, they lower the hourly, and if they raise it, or if they have less, then they raise it. I agree with you, Tree Crew. 35 an hour is pretty good, but what she just said there is like the contract was for 40 hours. And so she takes a high-paying job, and then after 40 hours, the contract is over, and then she's got to wait, like, when's the next contract job? And eventually, again, these people who are training the models, eventually they're not needed. Then what do? So all this expertise they're gaining on training AI models, that becomes worthless later. It's exploitative for sure, but how is the situation not exploitative now? That's fair. Are you saying just like in general, how is the situation not exploitative? Yeah, I think workers in this country should own their labor. I think workers should have more rights. I think they should have more collective bargaining rights. And I think that their labor should not be allowed to be completely and solely owned by investors who do nothing. Yeah, I know. Don't call me that. Don't call me that, Daedalus.
Paying up to $400 per hour because progress comes from you.
This is an industry that really seems to rely
There you go, Drew. They should be entitled to profit sharing. Yeah, you little socialist.
On precarious workers wherever they exist.
Last year, Tim and his colleagues conducted a study of data workers across the country. They found that 86% struggled to meet their financial responsibilities. A quarter of them relied on public assistance programs like Medicaid and food stamps.
I can't afford to go to the doctor. It feels like I'm rationing my ADHD medication for when I'm able to get back to someone consistently.
I agree with Trump's socialist bailout of Argentinian farmers. I don't think that's socialism. But no, I did not agree with that bailout. But I wouldn't call that socialism.
1 in 5 had experienced homelessness. And overall, the workers reported median earnings of less than $23,000.
Why was the person anonymous? Because they signed non-disclosure agreements. So they're in violation of the law and the non-disclosure agreement that they signed. So they're staying anonymous.
$1,000 a year. In 2021, Alexander Wang, the former CEO of Scale, became the world's youngest self-made billionaire. Last year, he was unseated by the 3 22-year-old founders of Mercor.
Do you hire people that currently work for like investment banks or game designers or stuff like that?
Occasionally that would happen, but for the most part, it would be people that previously worked at those companies.
Here I've got like the homepage, and then this is just like a big list of all the projects that I've been offered.
Ozzy is a college graduate in Oregon who majored in philosophy and worked on Surge AI's platform.
The point of it was...
Even like for philosophy majors, even like counseling. There was a story, I think it was in Wired, about people turning to AI to get like their therapy because they can't afford therapy anymore. And so they're turning to AI for therapy. And what they're learning is that AI is just telling them what they want to hear, because it's meant to keep them engaged. I saw a video the other day. I should have saved it. But there was this guy that was talking to AI all the time, like trying to decide if he should become a professional golfer, and he wasn't good. But he was every single day, he was like, with his AI, he was creating like a plan, and he's like, am I ready to be a professional golfer now? And they're like, yes, you're ready. But he didn't have the money or the funding, and he just like bought into it, and he destroyed his life savings, and there was no way he was going to be a professional golfer. And so like as people get less and less money, we rely more and more on these models. And there's just like that human element, like you can read something and it doesn't make sense, and then somebody can say it to you in a different way and it makes sense. And that's where like that human interaction doesn't work with AI. And so you have people like psychology majors, like that's important. Sociology majors, that stuff's important. Understanding, like even communications, all these people who learn like about humans and even like the stuff that as we're raised that impacts us. And how we can overcome like our childhood traumas, stuff like that. AI is just not going to be very good at that. But people don't have money, and 2, people that come out with a college degree, like there's no demand for their job. It's being swallowed up by AI. People are using AI now to self-diagnose themselves. And that's the plan from these people that are running AI companies. They see like, oh, we can do everything better. But again, let's just say that they were right. Let's just say that all this shit would work. Then what? Let's say once it replaces all of our jobs, what are we going to do? How do we eat? How do we have a house? How do we pay for medical treatment? Are we just going to be a moneyless, stateless, classless society? Is this the precursor to communism? We should learn to code. Yeah, there you go. We should probably be asking the people who are pushing. We should be talking to Kevin O'Leary. We should be talking to OpenAI. We should be talking to Grok. What's your plan with all this stuff? What are we going to do? Are you just going to kill us?
Just that somebody should be able to ask absolutely anything about absolutely anything, and it should be able to understand and do that. So that was my job, is to be able to read absolutely anything.
Used AI for stock trading, and I lost quite a bit because it made serious mistakes, like not even checking the actual price. I did that yesterday. I wanted to see. I gave really specific parameters to find me like a specific type of stock where I think it was something like, I want to show me a stock recently, an energy stock that has strong revenue, but has seen a dip in their stock price in the last 6 months. And it's like gave me one that was like had strong revenue. I was like, cool. So when I checked the stock price, it's up like 150% in the last 6 months. Wasn't even close. Yeah, it's not great yet.
Thing, and then answer absolutely anything. I read the entirety of
That's a great point, Bad Mad Richard. People are worried about immigrants taking their jobs when they need to worry about AI. Yeah, but AI is not brown. They don't care about that. They don't get to be racist against AI, so you can't blame AI.
In 3 hours, and then I had like 30 minutes to grade this picture book that was like absolute dog water.
At first, he liked the wide-ranging nature of the work, but then he received a project codenamed Arsenic.
I watch horror movies. I think I know what I'm getting into, and it just comes up with the most monstrous of things.
It required him to review violent AI-generated videos.
It was 2 dudes murdering a golden retriever with their bare hands. There was like weird videos of people constructing.
I don't remember what stock. I think it was ET, which was like energy transport. I don't remember what it is. I think the stock symbol was ET, if I remember right, is what I looked at.
Furniture out of humans, like known celebrities, like would be like in a jail cell, bleeding out like with extreme gore, and like I would have nightmares honestly for a couple weeks after that.
I asked Search AI about this project, and
Sick. Did phone home. Nice.
Spokeswoman claimed its platform does not involve any graphic content, but that contradicts the documentation Ozzy shared with me. He also thought it was strange that he was often asked to perform tasks he was not qualified for.
They were just like so incredibly niche and specialized, like, can you help us with this calculus homework or like this massive math problem, and then like straight to a biology thing. And I was like, I'm not an expert in any of this. Like, people go to grad school for counseling. I thought about it for like 20 minutes, and then I came up with your answer about or whether you should reconnect with like your abusive father.
What I heard from Ozzy and Jen is distinctly similar to what data workers outside the US have told me. There's a reason for that.
There are hundreds of contract companies, and they're all working for a small number of top clients at the top of the AI.
That's a good question. Is that a Morion? Is there a single historical example where a technological advancement actually resulted in next loss of vocational opportunity? Trains, cars, telephones, the wheel, like anything? I don't know. Off the top of my head, maybe, but like those were foreseeable. There were always people saying that this was going to destroy jobs, but I always, like with trains, cars, telephones, it was like, these are going to destroy these specific jobs. AI is saying we're going to replace all of these jobs without new jobs. So it's different. All those technologies you're talking about create jobs, but AI doesn't create jobs. It eliminates jobs. That's the whole point of this technology, is to eliminate jobs. I'm trying to look. Does anybody have one that they're thinking about? Cell phones? I mean, it probably did. Printers took the job of note seekers. Yeah, but I guess what he's saying is like, making printers, did the manufacturing jobs outweigh the jobs lost from note takers? It's not about like taking some, like, because a lot of technology eliminates an old technology, which would eliminate old jobs. But I think what you're saying is, like, on net, did it actually remove jobs? And I think with AI is the first technology I can think of that's the goal, is to eliminate jobs.
Supply chain.
It starts at the top, with AI firms seeking to get the best bang for their buck for this kind of
Tractors maybe. Again, you'd have to look at like manufacturing. I don't know, but maybe tractors.
labor. To compete for contracts from those AI giants, the data work companies are incentivized to keep their costs and commitments low.
When you're platform jumping all over the place, you feel like you don't have any power or room to stand up and say, hey, this isn't right. I'm working 13 hours a day and I might be making $40.
Crystal Kaufman is a longtime data worker who now researches labor conditions in the industry. She joined her first platform.
Republicans want to keep coal miners, but get rid of everybody else. Yeah. Redwood Dragon said, Dawn's early light forward is written by J.D. Vance and needs to be read by all. Super scary. I haven't heard of that. Good reminder, though, guys, we are crowdfunded. We've knocked out most of that gift goal, but we got about an hour left. If you could help us knock out that gift goal by the end of the live, that'd be great. And as Jen said, we can even go over to make up for yesterday, but not required. I appreciate you guys. Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal, as well as Super Chats, are the way you get that done.
After illness pulled her out of traditional work.
I was working for one platform at the time, and then before I knew it, to actually make money to pay bills and things, it became a case of jumping from platform to platform as all of these smaller platforms appeared.
It's not a coincidence that data workers often come from vulnerable backgrounds, whether those on food stamps, without housing, or with disability.
When you're at that point, and I remember being at that point, you take what you can get.
We're describing a world of work that is really about this new mechanism. It's dismantling full-time employment.
In 2019, a researcher named Mary Gray gave me a haunting warning. Data work could represent the beginning of the Uberization of all knowledge work. On a relentless quest to consume the world's expertise and become its sole provider, Silicon Valley would seek to create a gig version of every...
My dad wants to know the cost for mustache rides. It depends on how I'm feeling. Today, I've got plans later, so if we're doing one today and I have to cancel my plans, probably about $100.
Job. To acquire bits of knowledge as cheaply as possible from a growing underclass that could eventually include most of us.
We see a future where intelligence is a utility, like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Isn't that what you all want? I use Perplexity a lot, and sometimes I want to model stuff out, and then I try and do it, and then it's like, no, you need to buy credits for that. Is that what we all want? Now, like, the internet will be metered? We had this cool thing that was, it got to the point where it was in our pocket, and now their solution to all of this to create income, because this is very expensive to build out these data centers, and they're not going to have revenue. Their only way now to say that they're going to get revenue is through a metered system, but it's going to take everybody's jobs. So how the fuck are people going to pay for it? So who's going to be able to have internet access? Rich people. Yeah, remember when internet was metered? I do. You used to get those CDs. They would come in the mail. You could, it'd be like 250 minutes on AOL. Yeah, they're taking us back to that. That's how unscalable this is. They don't actually have a plan for revenue later on. So the revenue will be tokens. And then what it will be like, well, if nobody has jobs, is the government just going to give you like tokens that you're allowed to use every month for internet access? This is like turning into rich and poor. Like, we're just going to have two classes. All the AI people will be rich and everybody else will be poor, begging for handouts. This is the America First agenda.
The whole ecosystem,
take a breath for $1.99,
around Silicon Valley is very much based on this idea that computers are superior to humans. Most humans are unnecessary.
Darren Asimoglu is an economist who has extensively researched the effect of AI on the labor market. He told me that the AI industry's drive for automation is fueled not only by profit motives, but also by an ideology.
There is a sort of elitist attitude.
Good point. Betsy reminds us, happy Mother's Day this weekend to moms, to all you moms, or not moms, or everybody who celebrates Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. And if you're listening, happy Mother's Day to you. I love you.
Towards most workers, people think that the best way you can use AI is more automation, and just the less human input there is, the better.
No human CEO can talk to every employee at a company, every customer, be in every meeting, be an expert in every field. And so more and more, I think, of these jobs will be supervising a bunch of AI.
Right now, we are choosing to use AI as an automation technology. It creates a vicious cycle whereby more and more of the tasks start being taken by AI. And on the way to that, we need human workers to train AI models.
It looks like this. Employers cite AI as a reason to lay off workers. Tech firms hire those increasingly desperate workers for cheap to train AI.
Now, the kind of inequality that we're talking about here.
Craigies is already starting. We totally won't find the water main that goes to the AI centers and introduce rubber and plastic destructive chemicals into the line. Nope, not going to do that. Oh, I love it. It's good to know. I wouldn't know how to. I didn't know anything about that. I'm glad some of you already have a plan to fight the robots. I'll join you. I'll be in the infantry. I won't be the leader, but I can follow directions well.
Could be something we've never experienced. A handful of corporations controlling most of work, and a large fraction of workers essentially completely sidelined from meaningful work. That is a choice. That's not the nature of the AI technology itself. We can use AI for other things. Rather than automate teaching, we can give teachers tools so that they can provide individualized education.
Hopefully we can procreate with robots. You trying to get your dick shocked? That would hurt. That's electricity and sex. I don't think I'm sold on that.
In a much cheaper and effective form. We can have pro-nurse AI, meaning AI tools that increase the capabilities of nurses for diagnosis, cure, and treatment. But those options are not being exploited.
But in its quest to ingest the world's knowledge...
No kink shaming. You're right. I'm sorry. And I realize now that as I say that there are battery-operated fun friends that people use in the privacy of their bedroom, or I guess publicly. I don't know. I apologize. No, I guess some electricity is fine.
Silicon Valley has a problem. The AI industry is dependent on the very workers it exploits. Data workers have leverage, and some of them...
It's a legitimate fear. Hear them out. All right, I'll hear it out. Tell me about it.
...are already using it. Crystal was the lead organizer of Turkopticon, one of the first efforts to build power.
Before battery-operated toys, women had to plug them in. Good Lord. Men, we're so bad. We're so bad at giving women orgasms that they were willing to risk shocking their vaginas just to come. That's not good. We should have done better. That shouldn't have existed. That's risky. We got to be better at that. Men, do some homework. Use AI to find the clitoris. Thomas said, long-time listener, first chance I've been able to donate. Thank you for the entertainment, fuck trunk, and maggot. Thanks, Thomas. And a W in the chat for Thomas there, $75 donation. I appreciate that very, very much. More than you know. Niners suck. 92 says, what about rug-covered robots? Sign me up. You know that would be a problem. I would get nothing done. If they covered the robots in rugs, it's game over for me.
To improve labor conditions on Amazon's platform. On some issues, they won.
We fought very hard for a change to the rejections policy. To get a corporation like that to actually listen to workers was almost surreal.
That's a good point. And if men out there, if you know how to find the clitoris, if you know the basics of how to make somebody come, and you're not able to do it because you lack stamina, I'm tired of you making us look like whiny little bitches. I'm tired of it. I would like if people looked at America and said, hey, these people are skeptical of their government. We try and be like, hey, we're not just lining up to suck the dick. I've been stretching my mouth. I've been preparing for this. Was it Kash Patel? Put it in there. Pete Hegseth? Put it in there. Donald Trump? Put it in there. Blue Chew? Give me all the dicks. And for some friendly advice, You can do a Kegel experience. What you want to do, Lispy, is you want to pretend like you're stopping your pee. Okay, like you know how you can cut off your pee when you're peeing. Do that even when you're not peeing, and that'll strengthen the muscles there, and it'll stop you from having a quick finish. Tips from RTP. There you go. Work out those muscles. It's not all about biceps, okay?
We absolutely have to have some type of global coalition collectively demanding better conditions.
For hundreds of thousands of far-flung data workers to organize will be an enormous challenge. But advocates like Tim believe there are models in recent history that workers can look to.
Once workers started organizing...
Yes, Nicholas, that's true. Practice cutting off your pee, and it will increase the muscle strength, and you will maintain control over those little early squirters, and have stronger erections. That's just science. I didn't make it up.
In the garment sector, we've seen them creating powerful coalitions globally, including with consumers, with investors, with students.
A new bill introduced in California this year borrows from that kind of strategy.
This is AB 2653, the California Sweatshop Free AI Procurement Act.
It would ensure that when the state of California is procuring an AI tool, the data work that created those systems actually complied with certain labor standards.
This is simply about how we are spending taxpayer dollars, and it should not go to AI companies who exploit their workers, whether they're here in California or anywhere else in the world.
There's a narrative
This seems to be a problem with men on the left. I don't know. I listen to a lot of left-leaning content, and none of them are sponsored by Blue Chew. And I can't go to every single right-leaning space, and Manosphere podcast is just Blue Chew. I don't know if it's politically an issue, but I do know that shame, specifically sexual shame, can give you troubles with erections. And so getting rid of that sexual shame is one way to have stronger erections. The other way is Blue Chew. Just one little pill will make your dick stay hard even when you don't have the confidence to keep it hard yourself. Thank you. And by the way, Blue Chew, if you're out there, we're still looking. We would love to promote your product here. We want everybody to either have strong erections or enjoy somebody with a strong erection. Or if you are somebody who doesn't deal with penises, it would be nice if you had less angry men in the world who just couldn't get boners to deal with. So everybody wins when erections are stronger. It's that might be the third thing I advocate for. I want ending Citizens United, universal health care, and strong, firm, long-lasting erections. And we may just obtain world peace.
How the AI companies operate, that this technology is inevitable, that is not the case. All of us shape the future of technology. And what's most important is that we start working together to be sure that the future of work and the future of technology at work is one that, benefits all of us and makes our jobs better, not leading to a race to the bottom purely to enrich a handful of very wealthy billionaires in Silicon Valley.
All right, that's from, again, and check them out. They do incredible work. More Perfect Union over on YouTube. It's called I Track Down the Hidden Workers Secretly Powering Chat GPT. Share that with your friends. That's a great one. I think it's important for people to understand how blind we are flying into AI. Blue Chew said, we will pass on that offer. We like our women dry. All right, well, next up, Vagisil. We'll try that one then. Okay. Got plenty of time. Let's go. I want to talk about Iran a little bit here. First, I wanted to show this. This is Dr. Ashok Kumar over in the UK. He's on with Julia Hartley-Brewer, and he's talking about a growing concern, which is bullshit, over in the UK of anti-Semitism linked to the Green Party. Now, we do this in the United States too. It is remarkable to watch right-wingers say things like there's an anti-Semitism problem because of Hassan Piker and me. I'm a national security threat, according to TikTok, because I have the audacity to say that Israel shouldn't commit a genocide. And I want you to just watch this host, who again is Julia Hartley-Brewer, fall apart And this is the case everywhere. Any criticism of Israel now is labeled as anti-Semitism. But when you ask them to show you the anti-Semitism, it's nearly impossible. Easy when you're talking about Nick Fuentes. Easy when you're talking about the Groypers, because they're legitimately anti-Semitic. And even when they have good points like don't do a genocide, they don't really care about genocides unless it's being performed by Jewish people. And then suddenly they care a lot about genocide. So in that case, it does feel pretty anti-Semitic. But looping in people like Hassan and Nick Fuentes together, the way that like conservative media and neoliberal media is doing right now, is pretty fucking gross. And I would just say to anybody who's playing that game, just like ask them for specific examples of what is anti-Semitic. But this, I don't think this went how she thought it was going to go. And Dr. Ashok Kumar, who's a Green Party activist, shows just how easy it is to debunk that.
Or about issues, but I don't think
let's do that. Let's talk about issues.
Anything new about the suicide dolphins? Good question, Michael. General Kane was asked about that, and he's like, he laughed. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So no news on the suicide dolphins yet.
I think we can all agree is a big story is the fact that we are seeing.
Oh, sorry, real quick. And OCD said I used to program for autocorrect. I guess I got fired for no reason. Green Party's a joke. I bet you are thinking it's the Green Party in the United States. This is a different Green Party in the UK. Maybe you know, but I'm guessing you're just saying everything's a joke. But just listen to the clip. It doesn't matter if you think the party's the joke. This isn't an advertisement for the Green Party. This is about anti-Semitism.
Massive increase in physical and verbal attacks on Jews in this
Shirt
country.
ordered?
The
Thank
stabbing
you.
of 2 Jewish men by an alleged suspect currently who's already been charged, believed to be an Islamist attack, has caused great concern. Big summits in Downing Street, and we're going to be fast-tracking hate crime prosecutions and the like. Now, there's no doubt.
Zach Polanski is the leader of the Greens, is the only Jewish party leader in the establishment, are working overtime to claim he's anti-Semitic. Is that real? I did not know that. That's fucking insane. Yeah, they're doing great work in Britain. They just had a massive. They've been like racking up wins in the UK.
At all, there is a problem of anti-Semitism within the Green Party because the Green Party itself is investigating no less than 30 candidates who have been publicly identified as having made, posted or said or written blatantly anti-Semitic things, calling Jews vermin, rats, celebrating the October 7th massacre, suggesting that Hamas are, resistance fighters. I mean, you are a Green Party activist. Let's talk about the issues. Is it an issue if you support a party and a party has as much support as the Green Party has garnered in recent...
They arrest you for speech in England. They do it here in America, too. The Trump administration has arrested multiple people for protected speech. So it's not just over there.
...months, which is basically siding with Islamist extremists and anti-Semites and is putting up candidates in local elections who are blatantly, outrageously, disgustingly racist against Jews.
Okay, so firstly, we have over 4,500 candidates. We've gone from a party 6 months ago that was 60,000 to now having 230,000. And so, yeah, of course, needs to be a more thorough vetting process. But it's not that those 30 candidates are being investigated for anti-Semitism. They're being investigated for a series of comments, some of them racist, some of them sexist, or the accusations of that.
Am I mixing up the Green? I thought Green just had was doing really well in the elections. Am I mixing them up with Reform? Sorry.
They haven't been found guilty of that. And a large proportion of them are guilty of being critical of the state of Israel. Some of them, of course, are anti-Semitic, but a lot of them aren't. I think.
But no one's being investigated for being critical of Israel.
That's not true. That's not true. The list was released by Labor dossier this morning. I'm sure you've seen it. And they are, for example, retweeting the Bob Dylan lyrics about death to the IDF. I'm sorry, Julia, but that's not a crime. We're allowed to criticize and even call for the death of a foreign army. If I said death to...
Is that anti-Semitic to say death to the IDF? Does anybody will you just give me a thumbs up if you think that's anti-Semitic? I just want to get an idea of the audience here. That doesn't seem anti-Semitic to me. That's very, very specific.
The IRGC, should that be criminalized? If I said death to the Russian army, should that be criminalized? Should I be deselected as a Labor candidate or a Reform candidate?
The vast majority of these candidates are being investigated.
Sid is Brood. Can you explain why you think that's anti-Semitic?
I think there are parties that have platforms, and those platforms are the policies upon which we run on. Individuals who may have tweeted things years ago out of a massive list of candidates, I think that is not an accurate representation of the party. And I think I would say the same thing for Labour. I'd say the same thing for
I
Reform.
think when it continues to happen again and again and again, and you're saying it's a vetting problem, why do, again, you could argue, why do those people think that the Green Party is the home for them?
Do you think that Reform is a racist and sexist party because of the dossier that was released by Labour last week?
But I think they do have a problem.
Why is it one rule? Why is it one rule for Reform and one rule for...
No, but I didn't say the Green Party was anti-Semitic. I said you've got a problem with anti-Semitism. It's a different thing, isn't it?
I don't think there's a problem with anti-Semitism. I think that a small proportion of
Could somebody point to somebody on the left that's accused? There's got to be some examples. Are there some people on the left we could accuse of being anti-Semitic, or have been accused of being anti-Semitic that actually were being anti-Semitic just over here in this country? I know Hassan gets called that a lot. I know that TikTok thinks that I am. But like, is there someone that we could point to be like, there is a problem on the left with anti-Semitism? Jeffree Star? Who's Jeffree Star? I don't, what do you think Hassan has said that's anti-Semitic? Again, I don't know everything he said. I'm comfortable saying that there's potentially something he said that was anti-Semitic that I don't know, but I don't know of any.
Candidates who've said things in the past, they're being now investigated.
There are questions about
candidates is an indication.
There are questions about the
what did Ilhan Omar say, Kurt?
Posts and the retweeting posts from not only Zach Polanski but also both deputy leaders as well. That would suggest there is an issue.
Tell me specifically.
There are so many pieces of paper in front of me.
There's so many.
I'll message you afterwards, but you will have seen them.
I want to know. Please inform.
I've got them. They're here for sure. They're here for sure. I'll get them to you. They're here for sure. I got plenty of examples.
I haven't seen them. I'd like to know which leaders have
absolutely plenty of them. I'm desperately trying to find them right now. Well, I will.
I'm literally in the edge of my seat, waiting for you to give us this vital breaking news. The anti-Semites are running the party.
I'm held back by the fact I can't actually leave through things with plaster on my fingers, but there we are.
Oh no.
Well, these are issues. Green Party leader shared a conspiracy theory. Rachel Millward, co-deputy leader, shared a conspiracy theory about the Golders Green attack in which 2 men were stabbed. Shared a post which claimed a third victim of the day was Muslim had been erased to suit a weaponised, desperate narrative. I mean, that's just one example. Mohsen Ali
Wait, so the story is that what the claim is that this is anti-Semitic is that there were 2 Jewish people who were stabbed and 1 Muslim person was stabbed. And what she says is they left out the part of the Muslim person being stabbed. And so and because she brought up that it was weaponized, leaving out the Muslim person who was stabbed, that she is therefore anti-Semitic. That's the claim here.
How is that an example? You just read out, for example, earlier, that there were 2 victims of that attack. In fact, there was 3 victims. The first victim was Muslim. Why is it an anti-Semitic or conspiratorial to... Why haven't we mentioned that? The Prime Minister didn't mention that. The media hasn't mentioned that. There was the first victim was Muslim. Do Muslim lives not matter?
He wasn't hospitalized. I think that's one...
Oh, okay. It's anti-Semitic to bring up the Muslim person who was stabbed because he wasn't hospitalized and the other 2 were. Oh. Yeah. That was the example. She went through all her paperwork to find that example of anti-Semitism. It does sound Islamophobic, maybe, right? Or at the very least, that you think that the Muslim victim was not worthy of discussing.
Was aimed at Jews is the viewpoint pretty much. Anybody involved.
But why not even mention that a Muslim was attacked first? And he was hospitalized, actually. But
thanks, Colin.
His name's Ishmael Hussein. He was hospitalized, and we should name that. That his life matters too. That's not anti-Semitic. That's not anti-Jewish hatred. To simply mention the other person that was also stabbed.
Well, no, I think it's not the mention of it. It's the idea that the reason it's not mentioned is because of the conspiracy. Let's talk about.
Do you think?
Okay, but even if that's a conspiracy, how's that anti-Semitic? Why would you leave it out? If the conspiracy theory is to leave out the Muslim person, that would be, I think the accusation there would be Islamophobia, not anti-Semitism. That would be saying like you viewed the Muslim victim as not important. And I do think for some people, they think they hate Muslims so bad that like that somehow became anti-Semitic.
Julie, let me just ask you: do you think that people should that you should have mentioned that earlier in your
On the
program when you
day,
talked
they
about
talked about two. On the day when I was on air, on the third, on the way on.
You are well advised to be cautious with Muslims. They are highly aggressive. Fact. Shut the fuck up. Fact. Dumbass comment. Fucking fact. Isn't it Israel that just bombed Iran? Isn't it America that just bombed Iran? I'm sorry. Did I miss the last 40 years of my life where America has been invading every fucking country on earth in the Middle East, and then they fight back, and then we're like, how dare they fight back? These Muslims are so dangerous. They're the problems. Stop going to their country and fucking their shit up, and maybe they won't be mad. God damn. The irony of Americans, like the Muslims are a very dangerous group of people. They are very violent. Oh, word? How come? What are we doing over there? How come all the almost all the attacks happen over there? Did we have these problems before we started invading in the Middle East and getting involved in all their shit? No, we didn't. I'm so tired of people. I'm so tired. Listen, I don't know who you are. I'm 100% sure you're a white lady conservative who has no fucking clue. You're just afraid of everything. Like, oh, I'm Muslim, scared. But respectfully, to anybody who says dumb shit like that, shut the fuck up, please. We already look dumb enough as a country. You sit these discussions out. We don't need you. Please, you make us look dumb.
On the Thursday after that event had happened and I went to Golders Green, there was only talk of 2 victims at the time.
But do you think it's a problem?
Oh, I'm sorry. In the Quran, does it say to bomb America? I'm sorry. My bad. I did read the Quran, but I must have missed that part where it's like, Muslims, you must bomb America. My bad.
Don't mention that. We don't
about
mention
2 victims at the time. If you want to take that up the Metropolitan Police, that's an issue. Isn't it?
But then you've just given the story and you've only mentioned 2 of the victims. I think it.
Yeah, I would say she's a bit Islamophobic if we're getting anything from here. If we're going to label anything, I didn't hear any anti-Semitism, but there does appear to be some Islamophobia here. And the fact that we're talking about this makes some people, like we mentioned Muslim, and a couple like people in the chat are like, "Oh, I'm scared of them. I better let everybody else in this chat know that they should be scared of Muslims too."
Yeah, 3 were stabbed.
Okay, but the Met Police
mention that?
and the Prime Minister, the Met Police,
the
Met Police and the Prime Minister keep talking about 2 Jewish men being stabbed.
Yeah, but you're a journalist. You're a leading journalist. You're a leading journalist in this country.
They weren't the people being targeted. Who was being targeted?
But they accidentally stab him? What happened? The first person was Muslim, but they meant to only get Jews. Oh. It's hard to accidentally fucking stab someone. It's not an easy thing to do. They weren't targeted? What are you talking about? You're just dancing with a knife, swinging around. Oh, didn't mean to stab you there. Oh, there's 2 Jews. I better stab them. Is that the story that they're telling here? Just an accidental stabbing while they were out trying to stab Jews?
Was being
Jewish
targeted.
people. A Muslim and 2 Jewish people.
And you think the Muslim was targeted because he was Muslim?
Banjay bonkers.
Well, I don't know,
thanks.
but I don't think we should not mention that. I don't know the full
You've
story.
already you've mentioned him, but there we are. Can I talk to you about? I've got very little time. I would
maybe I'm guilty of conspiracy theories because I mentioned it.
Well, you think there's a conspiracy theory, Brad? I don't think there is, and I think suggesting there's
there's no conspiracy.
Theories. Okay, can I mention other? Can I talk about some other policies?
The Muslim man was the perp's housemate and friend. And why'd he stab him? I don't know this story. Why'd he stab him?
For the love of God, please Ashok. We've got very little time. I mean,
Islamophobia is not real because a phobia is an irrational fear. It's irrational. It's fucking irrational. My fears are real. All of your fears are irrational. Tell me what happened to you? What did Muslims do to you? Good Trouble had an author. Jen, will you get Good Trouble's? He did a TikTok the other day about. Fuck, I don't remember. I think he was comparing like an occupation and the way that like we would get. I think it was like UPS drivers or something. Like if a UPS driver committed a crime. Will you find that? It was so good. I should have saved it. Hot Chisel says, attention, chat. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach it to your Twitch account and get a free subscription every month. And you can use that on us. That's a good reminder. 28 minutes left in the show today. We about got that gift goal knocked out. Thank you guys so much for that. But as a reminder, we also have paid subscriptions on YouTube and Twitch. It gives you all these cool emojis. If you're one of our paid subscribers on YouTube or Twitch, drop those emojis in the chat. You can check those out. It also gets you access to our members-only events, which are every other Wednesday, where we get together in Discord and we watch something, and I get really high and we talk shit, and then Jen tells us all about her dating life, which is fascinating. So if you want to join us for those and support the show, that's a great way to do it. I think membership starts as low as $5. So there we go. All right. Let's go here. I loved this. Robert Fisk, who is now deceased, was an incredible journalist and way ahead of his time, talking about the problems with Israel. Again, not the people of Israel, not the religion that most people in Israel practice, but the country of Israel, their intelligence community and their military. And this is a story I didn't know about. Robert Fisk is going to document this story about how Israel bombed an ambulance in front of him in Lebanon, and he was able to track down where they got that missile and track it back to the United States. This is fascinating. It may take up a good portion of the rest of this, but it's a story I had never heard, and I thought it was fascinating.
The Israelis using an Apache helicopter made him.
I was still shitting my pants during 9/11. My friend, I was in high school. I have shit my pants twice since then, though, so I don't think I ever shit my pants in high school. I shit my pants in January of this year when I got really sick, and I was really sick once at a golf tournament about 8 years ago, and I hit a golf ball and farted and shit my pants, and I had to throw my underwear away. And then I played the last 3 holes in sheer terror. So, no, I was not shitting my pants when 9/11 happened, but thank you.
Of course, the States fired an air-to-ground missile into an ambulance filled with women and children. They killed 3 children, 2 women. I was just in front.
Sorry, Ty said off topic. Sorry, maybe you can answer later. Will Dems lose House now because of Virginia Supreme Court decision? No. Their lead is insurmountable in the House. Let me start this over.
In 1996, the Israelis, using an Apache helicopter, made here, of course, in the States, fired an air-to-ground missile into an ambulance filled with women and children. They killed 3 children, 2 women. I was just in front of the ambulance when it was hit. And I collected the bits of the missile and got the computer plate and fitted it together. We had to take some of the bits from the bodies. The United Nations helped me, UN troops. And through the Ministry of Defence in London, which was our defence correspondent making inquiries, we worked out that it had been made in Duluth, Georgia by Boeing.
So this bombing happens right in front of him. He's incredible. An unjust bombing happens right in front of him. This is, again, Robert Fisk. He's a prominent UK journalist. And instead of just like reporting on the story, he's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this shit.
And I took all the bits here to the United States. I got them on Air France to Paris, and then we got amnesty to send them on to Washington. I didn't feel like turning up at JFK with missile parts, you can imagine the reporting of that. And I got it down to the Duluth Boeing Works, and they thought I was writing a story about this wonderful missile. They didn't realize the background to it. And I put the pictures of the dead children and the wounded children on the desk, and I produced all the bits of the missile and laid it down. I said, is that your Hellfire or not? And one of the Boeing executives who was in the boardroom was the designer. Another one was a senior corporate manager in the company. And, of course, there was a PR man there. And one of the men said, is this some kind of crusade? And I said, I think you should rework your words. Don't use that on me. This is an inquiry into how your missile came to kill innocent civilians in southern Lebanon. And they were very upset about it. One of them said, we were soldiers in Vietnam. We don't believe in killing the innocent. I said, but it's your missile.
It's so fucking tiring to hear American leadership say shit like that. Like, this is just Pete Hegseth all over again. We don't bomb innocent people. You bombed a fucking school. You can say that you don't like to, but we do. We bomb innocent people all the fucking time. It's kind of what we do. It might be the thing we're best at. is murdering innocent people in the Middle East in the name of the war on terror. Kind of like what we do. What are you complaining about? I'm a mother. Okay, I just went to the paid chat, but I don't see any other interaction. I'm just confused. What do you need, Chief? I talked to the chat all day long. What do you need? Need some attention? Go ahead and tell me what you want me to respond to, and I'm watching it now.
How to get there. And the line they took was that under the various U.S. export agreements, it is the U.S. government that insists that weapons supplied to a buyer, that the buyer has to abide by basic rules of war. And so basically Boeing was saying, well, we make knives, but we're not responsible if they're used to stab people, you see. So anyway, I ran the story. It was called Return to Sender, because I'd actually got the missile back to the guy who made it and showed him what happened. And the amazing thing was we printed the computer part, right, the whole of the front page of our Sunday magazine in The Independent in London. And the next morning I got back to Beirut on Sunday night. And Monday morning I got a call from a French missile manufacturer. He said it wasn't sold to the Israelis. He said that missile was sold to the US Marine Corps. He asked to meet me secretly in the Lutetia Hotel in Paris. And I got on the next plane to Paris from Beirut. This is very good for frequent flyer points, by the way.
Again, just so we're clear here, what's happening is somehow we have a missile hitting in Lebanon, fired by the Israelis, which obviously there's rules when you sell weapons. You can't just sell it to anybody. We have rules for that. And so this is being used for crimes against humanity. And Boeing's just like, no, we would never do that. And that's always what the U.S. says. Oh, we would never do that. We just don't do that. If we did, it was an accident. Sorry. It's a lot of fucking accidents. I do think you've got to have your head up your ass to not think that the U.S. Consistently murders innocent people. It's collateral damage. That's how they view it. We do it all the fucking time.
I got to Paris and he produced a secret NATO list of codings and he said Israel is 14 on it, but on the missile, the computer part, it says 01M. 01 is the United States on NATO codings and M meant Marines. And I called the editor. He said, go straight to Washington.
True, Gio. I'm seeing your message. The Iranian was not only struck once, but struck a second time in the evacuation zone. True.
Find out what the hell's going on, you see. How did a Marine missile get fired by the Israelis? And eventually, after we contacted the commandant of the Marine Corps outside Washington, I was picked up and invited to meet senior Marine officers in plain clothes in their mess at a Marine base outside. Car went in, people saluted at the gate. And I handed all the photographs I left the missile with Boeing, of course, in Georgia. I thought they could put it in their museum. I don't think they did. But I had all the photographs and they went through it. And the story came out very simply. I couldn't quote them by name, but I used all the information. It was one of 700 AGM-114C missiles. AGM is air-to-ground missiles, called the Hellfire. The publicity, by the way, was all for one and one for all. They used the Alexandre Dumas quotation from Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan from the Three Musketeers. Anyway, the Marines confirmed it was one.
That sounds like Pete Hegseth too. Just like all sorts of hyperbole, just nonsense words to pretend that we're not just fucking evil. Like our military is just not fucking evil.
Their missiles. They had bought 700 of them from Boeing and had taken all 700 to use against the Iraqi army in the liberation of Kuwait. We're talking 1990, 1991. They found that there was a misfire rate of 50%. Every 2 missiles, only 1 exploded, which was very interesting because the helicopter fired 2 missiles at the ambulance and only 1 exploded. The other landed unexploded beside a mosque. I found it. And I got the computer plate off that too. Anyway, and the Marines said that they had so many misfires that after they'd used up 300...
Our military is evil, but it's not like uniquely evil. I mean, that's true. Israel exists. We're not like the only ones, I guess. That's true. I mean, what military is more evil than us? Our military is evil until you need them? No, they're still evil even when we need them. They do evil things on top of that. When was the last time we needed our military? Honestly, like when was the last time our military was used in a way that actually was protecting us? There's answers to these. I'm not saying that there's no answers to these, but like if I just think back of all the things our military has done in my life, Like I'm trying to think of a time off the top of my head where I can point to the military and it's like, oh, we actually needed them there. Roly Poly Bolo said Hexeth killed 120 children at the very start of the war because breaking the spirits of your enemy immediately is more effective than a long fight, but it didn't work, so now it's a long fight. That's a gross, true point.
150, they didn't use them anymore because they weren't reliable enough. And then they said they were instructed by Washington, by the Pentagon, with many other units with spare ammunition, to leave them at the Haifa munitions pier, take them there by boat to Israel. And it was part of a quid pro quo, a gift from the US government to the Israelis for not joining in the war against Iraq in 91. Remember, George Bush Sr. was very keen to keep the Israelis out of that war. And part of the payback for this was to be given all these free munitions that weren't used up. And
cool. Thanks for not joining the war with us, Israel. Here's a bunch of munitions. Now go bomb Lebanon. Do whatever you want with it. Who said that? Sid, you said that earlier. Sid said, we need our military every day. We're the #1 world superpower. We're the only things that keep the world from all-out war. No. We're what is keeping the world at war. We're not alone in that. Russia does it too. It's mostly us, though, that's keeping the world at war. When have we made things more peaceful? We get involved with every one of these countries. We have mercenary groups with the CIA's involved in every one of these countries. We're doing coups fucking everywhere. We create instability fucking everywhere. We devastate economies with sanctions if they have the audacity to not follow our preferred form of government. Like, no, we are not the peacekeeper. We are the bully. We're keeping people enraged. So we have to. The military-industrial complex dies if we don't keep things going all over the world. That's a good point, Sonia. We dropped a fucking nuke on Japan. Yeah, bro's never heard of imperialism.
So this missile had been made in Duluth, Georgia for the U.S. Marines, taken to Kuwait, then taken into southern Iraq, then taken unused.
Then why did the left support Ukraine? Because Ukraine got invaded by Russia, and we thought Ukraine should defend themselves, and we had an obligation to help Ukraine defend themselves because we convinced Ukraine to give their nuclear weapons to Russia, and we said, in exchange for you giving your nuclear weapons to Russia, we will protect you. And Russia said, well, you can't let them join NATO, and then they never did. And then Russia invaded them anyways. That's why we supported Ukraine. Why didn't you support Ukraine? Because of Russian propaganda, because Russian propagandists paid all these right-wing influencers to say that Ukraine was the bad guy, and Donald Trump, who's Vladimir Putin's fleshlight, also loves Russia and was like, actually, Ukraine's the bad guy. And then you just all started saying dumb shit.
Used to the Haifa munitions pier in Israel, and then used in 1996 in the war between Hezbollah and the Israelis in southern Lebanon. And it was very interesting because we'd actually gone right back through all the people responsible, and not one, including the Israelis, said that they were responsible. They go, if there weren't...
it's never them. They're never responsible. They don't do anything wrong. It's never the United States. It's never Israel. Every time we murder a bunch of innocent people, it's actually some Muslim country's fault.
Terrorists, we wouldn't have fired the missile, you see. Terrorists, quote unquote. I mean, we're always hearing about terrorists. And, the amazing thing was that it was... Dwight D. Eisenhower, I think, was the person who first invented the phrase, the military-industrial complex. There it was. I went to the industry that made the missile and traced its military path, and everyone it killed was innocent.
It's a good point, Jen. Thinking we're wrong doesn't mean everyone else is right. World's not binary. This is the video I was talking about from Good Trouble. This is really good. Not like he needs more shares, but I would share this.
The trial for Tanner Horner.
I expand this up a bit. This was such a good point.
FedEx driver who murdered Athena Strand concluded today. This was a truly disgusting act carried out by a wretched individual against a helpless child. And if I looked at you in this moment and I said, I think we need to round up all of these FedEx drivers and deport them. So
how long have I been in the closet? About 45 seconds, because your dad finishes fast.
We can get a hold on this situation. You would look at me like I'm fucking insane, right? This man was brought to justice and sentenced to death Just like every instance of immigrant crime the right wing tries to use and pedestalize in order to demonize entire groups of people, and yet not one right wing influencer is taking to the internet demanding that we line up at FedEx offices and round these people up. I wonder what the fucking difference is. If you think that I'm off my rocker, just imagine for 2 seconds to yourself what would have happened if this man was an undocumented migrant. This would have been the cover of every Turning Point USA newsletter for the next 20 fucking years. You people are hypocrites. The trial for Tanner Horner, the FedEx driver.
How good was that? How good was that? Thanks, Red. I appreciate that. Sorry, I just read a message somewhere. Where was it? Wasn't me. Said, send a Venmo to Jen. Not sure if it went through. Jen, do you want to see if a Venmo came through from Wasn't Me? I don't see that. Discord's not letting anyone post screenshots right now. Post my text. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's why. Oh, okay. I get it. Wasn't Me said, I work for a massive international cable media company. They recently got rid of 25% of my department, and now our biggest job metric is how good we make the AI look. We are training our replacements. Eat the motherfucking rich. Jesus. Well, don't name drop, but then once you get fired, let's name drop. We'll release all the details. All right. Is this where we wanted to go? We have 20 minutes. Yeah, I want to talk about first the illegal war that we're in currently. And Scott Jennings told the truth about this, which is, I hate showing Scott Jennings, but he's telling the truth here, which is more than what most Republicans can say. And then I want to talk about the complexities in the Strait of Hormuz. Sounds like also we fired on an Iranian ship again today since we've been live. So cool. Why did the left support Israel? Jeff, I don't know. Well, I do know. AIPAC. I didn't support Israel, and I've been very critical of everybody on the left who takes AIPAC money. So I applaud those. Again, just the same suspects, the usual suspects, AOC, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. I applaud all of those who didn't take AIPAC money and who were critical of Israel, and fuck every Democrat who supported or still supports Israel. That was my biggest criticism of the Biden administration and the Harris campaign. So if you have a problem with that, and I also have a problem with that, we're on the same team there. So what exactly is a legal war, in my opinion? Well, first, you would have to have an imminent threat, which we didn't have. And second, because of the War Powers Act, you need Congress to authorize a war. And Scott Jennings is just going to say, like, the Trump administration is basically just saying, like, we're going to make up rules as we go along and pretend that it means that we haven't been at war for 60 days.
Can I ask you a question on that point? Because you said Democrats want to end the war. And my question is, how do they want to end the war? And I think it's a fair.
We want to go home. We want it to just end right now, pull everybody out, allow Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Probably should make Israel pay reparations. We should probably pay reparations, and we should get the fuck out. That's what we should do right now.
Well, and this is the point I want to make. Whether you think we should have done it or not, now the United States is in, the military is committed, the president has an objective, which is make sure these people don't get a nuclear weapon. My view, and I think the Republican view, is the only way out of the war is complete and total victory. The politics for President Trump to just end this without achieving the objective are far worse than staying in it long enough to win.
The politics. They only get, all the Republicans care about is winning elections. Not the results, not the outcomes. Not the price we pay as Americans, not the innocent people dying, not the members of our military who are dying. Again, what he said here. He's just worried about winning elections.
Complete and total victory. The politics for President Trump to just end this without achieving the objective are far worse than staying in it long enough to win. But what do you think? I'm curious.
Hold on, but Scott, he has. They announced today that Operation Epic Fury is over. The military campaign is over. That's what they said.
Well, as Anna said, this is a paperwork issue. And
they all know it. They're saying the war's over because we're outside of the 60 days. And Scott Jennings is admitting that they want to keep bypassing Congress. So what the Trump administration is doing is they're just changing the names of these operations. They're like, actually, this is a totally different operation that isn't part of the main operation at all. We paused the main operation, and now we're going to go over here and we're going to do some more bombing, and it's a totally different operation. Therefore, this is a new war, so we have 60 days. He's admitting two things here. One, that the only reason we're still here is for political reasons, and two, that they're playing silly games to bypass the war powers resolution.
It's a paperwork issue.
The Iranians are likely to hit a tripwire and give us grounds to do it.
Is it a paperwork issue, really? Because I mean,
with the Congress, it is.
I mean, look, they've.
I mean, how obvious is this? How obvious is what he's saying? Is it a paperwork issue? It is with Congress. Congress has the power, and Trump doesn't want to deal with Congress. So he's just renaming shit to bypass Congress so that we can fight this war, which, again, Scott's saying, like, we have to win. Otherwise, we have to win this war totally. Otherwise, we're going to lose elections. That's what we're in this war for. Isn't that cool?
Marco Rubio as well made it very clear that the whole ball game right now is the negotiating table.
Sure.
That's where they're at.
Well, and the blockade.
And they know that. And the ball game is the negotiating table. Because the blockade, it's in place. But
do you know what they do to women? How about shut the fuck up? We bombed a girls' school. They are mean to women. We murdered children. Yes, I know what they do to women. That doesn't mean we should murder children. That doesn't mean we should blow up apartment buildings. We want to do something. We're not doing anything to stop that. We killed their supreme leader and replaced him with a more radical supreme leader. I'm sorry, are women being treated better now in Iran? How do we treat women? We're not that nice to women. Probably better than in Iran. Yeah, I'd say almost certainly better than Iran. But stop it. You don't give a fuck about women. You just want to make any excuse to keep bombing the fuck out of them.
it's not necessarily, it has not moved the needle yet. So the military operation is already done with. What does
that didn't happen? You don't know about the school we bombed? Chat, can you help four-wheel driv? Tell them about the girls' school that we bombed.
Complete and total victory look like when really at the end of the day they're back to where Obama was during
Not at all, because Iran is
I'm talking about in the sense that what they are doing is sitting down with the Iranians and saying, let's make a deal. Let's come up with a timetable. Let's come up with a plan to remove the material. They're doing the same process
with
that
a much weaker Iran.
Four-wheel drive, our government has admitted that we bombed that school. Like, you're arguing with our own government. The Trump administration, they've admitted that. I don't. Who are you arguing with?
Administration did before.
Well, but
Iran's going to rebuild.
with a country,
we'll have to go back.
With a country whose military is totally destroyed.
But what does complete and total victory look like at this point?
To me, complete and total victory is to definitively tell the American people the objective was they will not build or possess nuclear weapons. That is the victory. Now, we've met a lot of.
So the victory is that it's exactly how it was when we got there. What is this war? Honestly, Maggot, tell me, what is this war for? Total victory is that they won't get a nuclear weapon. They don't have a nuclear weapon. They haven't had a nuclear weapon. Obama negotiated it. They had 3.6, like their uranium was capped at 3.6% enrichment. This is one of the most pathetic bungles of any president in history. This war makes no fucking sense.
Military objectives. We've destroyed thousands of targets.
To watch me seethe? Yeah, that sounds about like MAGA. Let's waste billions of dollars and murder innocent people so we can see libs seethe. God damn. That's a shitty life you live. Deb said, this is my monthly dues. Thank you and Jen for your hard work to deliver the facts. W. Deb in the chat, thank you. Sent $50. That was very, very kind. I got those.
People are set back decades in a number of ways, but complete and total victory is there will be no nuclear weapons in Iran, period, end of story.
So in other words, we are not anywhere near that. We're not anywhere near
Well,
them
we aren't
not
until we
having
are.
a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, well, we aren't until we are. Okay. So there's just no objective. We're just going to keep bombing them.
Nuclear material is still very much in Iran. They have not abandoned their terrorist funding and proxy groups and ideology. We haven't completely eliminated their missile program.
And they have the Strait.
What? And they have the Strait.
We have it. We're the one enforcing the blockade.
Hold on a second. We don't have it. We only have it if we can allow transit through the Strait. We have a blockade, but we don't have control of the Strait. So what exactly is the victory?
Well, wait a minute.
We're not bombing people. Guys, Four Wheel Driv wants you to know that we're not bombing people. What are those bombs hitting, my friend? It wasn't me who mentioned that they worked for a media company. Said the media company starts with a C. Love my job, and then gags. So you can figure out which media company that is. It wasn't me. Said Scott Jennings dreams about the Trump nussy. Gross. That's gross. All right, so they're just admitting it that this war, and I see some of you saying like this war obviously is for Israel. Of course, it's for Israel. There's no, but when I say it's for what reason, there was no reason for us to be there. And I don't even know what Israel's getting out of this other than just like a weakened Iran so that they can bomb Iran later again. It's crazy. Scott Jennings is way cooler than any Democrat. Yeah, he's so cool, guys. Every time a stranger meets Scott Jennings, they're like, man, that guy is super cool. All right, this is retired Admiral James Sarvidis breaking down the complexity of the Strait. And this is the problem. And now I'm not an expert on this, so please take this with a grain of salt, and I'm relying on other experts who have been here. But the issue seems to be that Iran controls the Strait. Trump wants to pretend that he controls the Strait. Obviously, the Strait is not open. Trump keeps saying that they control the Strait, but then tells Iran to open the Strait. And Iran's like, we control the Strait. And Trump's like, no, you don't. And the Strait is not open. And we played a clip earlier about oil where Trump's like, oh, all the oil companies are coming here to America. So perhaps maybe the reason that Donald Trump doesn't want the Strait opened is because he's just doing a deal for the oil producers, which gets you nothing. So maybe we're spending billions of dollars a day on this senseless war for Israel. And maybe we're keeping it going because it's good for big oil and they get to make a bunch of money and you guys get to pay more at the gas pump. But either way, you are being bent over and fucked in the ass without lube. And you're just like, I am fine with this because I like seeing libs cry. And what we're crying about is the smell. We don't like the smell. And we don't like watching that. It's gross when you guys do it. It's weird for you to turn around and look Trump dead in the eyes and say, thank you, Daddy. Can you make it more dry? Do you have any powder? Do you have any Gold Bond? Can we make this more dry? Could you wrap yourself in sandpaper, please, sir? Our tears are out of disgust and a little bit out of sympathy for the pain that you're enduring to watch us cry. If you want us to cry, we could come up with a deal where we'll show up and cry every day for you if you end the war. We'll just do it. And you don't have to have your rectum destroyed by Republicans, okay? I'll cry for you. Which is a reminder, I have Cameo. For I think it's like $15. I'll cry for you on Cameo.
CNN senior military analyst, retired Admiral James Stavridis. Admiral, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Kate especially thanks you. Listen, we just got this tweet from U.S. Central Command.
Chris said, rounding out the week, have a great weekend. Thank you, Chris, in the chat for the $54 over there on Venmo. Appreciate you guys very much. You're the best in the biz.
That says 2 U.S. flags.
I'm not lying. You guys are taking it. You're taking it from Donald Trump. I'm not lying about that.
Merchant vessels has successfully transited through the Strait of Hormuz and are headed safely on their journey there. This comes after President Trump announced overnight that somehow U.S. vessels were going to guide ships out of the Strait. I'm going to put up a picture of live traffic right now in the Strait. To be honest, we haven't seen a lot of movement here, but we did just get that message from CENTCOM. What do you think that means, that 2 U.S. merchant vessels have transited the Strait and are now safely on that journey?
Those are very brave merchant captains who made that decision, considering we don't have a good picture of the mine situation. Are there mines? Are there a lot of mines? We don't know. Certainly the attacks by the Iranians have continued.
Thanks, Jesse. Jesse said, thanks for a great show as always. Appreciate that. And Natalie said, it's good for big oil and defense contractors. Yeah, that's why we're in this.
Threat is certainly still there because of the drones. So my hat's off to the merchant captains who made that decision to go evidently unescorted through the strait. That's a pretty risky proposition for those big merchants loaded up with oil. What needs to happen is, if we're going to undertake an escort program like this, got to get organized, got to get them in convoys, got to put guided missile frigates and destroyers with them, got to sweep for mines.
Or the other option is go home. We're acting like this is like a blockade that Iran did for no fucking reason. Go home. Strait of Hormuz opens back up. You just said, going back to AI, I was laid off from my last job in medical billing due to AI. I fully expect my job to be phased out due to AI within the next 5 years. Damn. Mute Sid for 5 minutes for being a dipshit. That was rude. I just didn't like that. I thought that was mean-spirited, Sid. And I like Yeetus. So 5-minute mute for Sid.
A lot of work to do before that strait is actually fully open.
All right, we should note that after the president made this announcement, the Iranians put out this new map of the Strait of Hormuz.
Michaela said, for the pretty blue eyes, sigh. Thank you, Michaela.
It's sort of like an old version, but a new map that they put out where they indicate that this is where they're blockading the strait. Here and here, everything else inside here, no man shall pass. Basically, the Iranians say they control that. This is their version of the situation. But Admiral, I'm so glad you're here because you can help explain. The president says the U.S. is going to guide vessels out, but sources tell us that doesn't mean escort them out. So what's the difference exactly?
Let's begin with this kind of tale of two blockades. You've shown one there, and it's not as simple for the Iranians as getting out a green Sharpie or a red Sharpie and drawing a line. In order to really enforce that, they're going to have a lot of not only mines, they're going to use small boats, they're going to use...
Yeah, fourth wheel. They're trying to make all the boats pay to go through, which they're doing because the United States fucking bombed them. And if they just go home, then none of this stuff is a problem anymore. The U.S. can just turn around and go home.
Drones. So they've got capability and capacity, but it's a challenge. The U.S. Navy blockade, which is 1,000 miles of Iranian coastline, continues apace. And the hope is that that will put economic pressure on the Iranians and get them back to the table. In terms of escort or guide, to me, those aren't technical military terms, but to me, an escort would be, think basketball, it would be pretty close to a man-to-man kind of defense. You'd put probably 5 merchants together, put a guided missile cruiser with them, and you'd drive through the strait together to give them protection. Think of that as escort. In terms of guide them, you might think zone defense. You'd kind of put up a few guided missile ships, and then the merchants would go, if you will, from safe spot to safe spot going through. John, we should not underestimate the effort it will take to open the strait and keep it open.
This is so dumb. Like, what are we gonna do? I'm gonna end that part there, but I appreciate CNN bringing on a military strategist, but it seems like a pretty simple answer. Go home. Knock it off. You ever see a fight like where the people fighting are just kind of exhausted and then they shake hands and go home? I think that's just what we need to do. This was stupid. We never should have done any of this. We should just be like, hey, we're going to go home. Can we talk on the phone? Like, I'll call you later. And then we just go home and we'll call Iran later and be like, hey, sorry about that. And they'll be like, yeah. And then we can figure out how to pay some reparations, and then they'll open up the strait, and then it'll be fine. We can do that. Right? This could have been an email. No, we're kicking board. I don't know what that means. What do you mean you're kicking board? Let me scroll down here to get to the stuff from today. Let's go here. To Hegseth here. Because again, I'm listening to Hegseth. I'm listening to all these people. There doesn't seem to be. I have no idea what victory looks like. I have no idea what the objective is here. Here's Pete Hegseth trying to explain it maybe a different way. Scott Jennings is like, oh, it's a political war. Hegseth's going to give us a bunch of flowery language. We still don't know.
James, go ahead. Mr. Secretary, thank you. General, thank you. I want to first express my gratitude and admiration for the work you do and for everyone involved in our armed forces, and also for the accomplishments of Operation Epic Fury, which I think are too often dismissed too lightly. But those accomplishments don't obscure, I think, a central default that has occurred here, and I would like you both to address it. On the first day of this conflict, President Trump addressed the Iranian people directly and said, when we're finished, take over your government. It'll be yours to take. And then on the 7th day of the conflict, in a Truth Social post, the president said, quote, there will be no deal with Iran except, all caps, exclamation mark, unconditional surrender. What happens to that pledge to the Iranians? And when did the president decide to capitulate on his demand for unconditional surrender?
Well, James, I wouldn't, you started out nicely, but you ended.
Oh, Jessica, sorry, Mr. Asset, for the much needed distraction on a rough day. Thank you. It was kind of a rough day.
Exactly where we knew you would end. Surrender. Well, James, I wouldn't, you started out nicely, but you ended exactly where we knew you would end. The president hasn't capitulated on anything. He holds the card.
He has threatened to nuke their country like 1 million times. He threatened to nuke them yesterday, too. Probably not 1 million, like 3 times. He's given them 24 hours, and he extends it every time. He capitulates nonstop. Hegseth's entire existence is just defending Donald Trump from criticism, and that's it. Of course he's capitulated. There is not a single line that Donald Trump has drawn in the sand that he hasn't erased and said, never mind.
We maintain the upper hand, and Project Freedom only strengthens that hand. And so he will ensure that whatever deal is made or whatever end state is reached creates ensuring that Iran never has a nuclear weapon, which is number one, and he's been focused on that, and the deal and discussions are centered on that.
That's crazy that our objective was accomplished before the war started and we still went to war. Our objective is that they can't get a nuke. All right, what if we just don't go then because they don't have a nuke? Maybe we should just do that.
And what the Iranian people take advantage of after the fact?
That's not true, Larry. My entire existence is not complaining about Trump. I complain about Trump for like 3.5 hours a day. And then usually I grab lunch. I spend some time with my daughter. Occasionally I go on dates. And as a side job, I fuck your dad.
Is up to them. And he's been very clear about that. And maybe you do it now, maybe it happens later. But ultimately, he's also been clear. We're not going to entangle this into some nation-building project. Our objectives are clear. They've been pursued from day one.
Hopefully, yeah, but at first it was to free the Iranian people. It wasn't about the nuclear capabilities, because you said that you had destroyed their nuclear capabilities last year. So saying this has been clear since day one is a little bit wild. But if the goal is no nuclear weapon, mission accomplished. What are we even doing there? Gross. Dad's been dead for 14 years. I got news for you. Fun fact, your dad's dead. Fun fact, I'm a necrophiliac. Blue Chew. Give me all the dicks. God, you walked into that one. That was a perfect time to use that.
The Iranian people take advantage of that because they're being taken advantage of by this regime. As you know, 45,000 Iranians, innocent Iranians, killed before the outset of this. That's what this government does, kills their own innocent civilians. Getting out from underneath that is going to be a challenge of the Iranians.
Oh, so now it's back to freeing the Iranians. Okay, but we're not doing that, though. How are we going to free the Iranians?
Well, and we certainly hope they take advantage of that. Thank you.
All right. Moving on. Wait, where was that? Then we have a ceasefire. So we announce a ceasefire, and we're like, we're not going to do this anymore. And then the United States just is like, fuck that. There's no ceasefire. And then we break the ceasefire, and then we say we didn't break the ceasefire. And they're like, wait, but didn't you fire? And they're like, yeah, but we decided this one doesn't count.
Iran has accused the United States of violating the ceasefire. It is being reported tonight that the US military has carried out strikes on ports in Iran and that air defenses have been activated in the capital, Tehran. The head of the military has suggested that an Iranian oil tanker travelling from Iran's coastal waters towards the Strait of Hormuz has been hit. Another one near the Emirati port of Fujairah, which is absolutely critical in terms of getting oil out of the Strait of Hormuz.
I'm sorry, that doesn't sound like a ceasefire to me. I didn't serve in the military. If we have some military people here, can you explain to me how continuing to fire on Iran is not a violation of a ceasefire?
Let's get the latest if we can. Hear what the Americans are saying about this from our US correspondent, Mark Stone, who is in Washington. Mark, bring us up to date.
By the way, Yida says, fuck you, Sid, for whatever you said. Sid's mute might be done by now.
Well, it's striking that it's the Iranians that are saying far more, publicly at least, than the Americans are saying. But something is definitely up. It is clear that the ceasefire, if it hasn't broken down, is certainly creaking significantly. What we do know...
No, it's it's not creaking significantly. We fired. It's just not a ceasefire. It is crazy to watch war coverage in 2026 when we have all this information. It's different than like the last time we were, we went to Afghanistan. I don't know how they report. Like it's teetering on not being a ceasefire. No, it's not a ceasefire. If you fire upon them during a ceasefire, you have broken the ceasefire. Am I Jehovah's Witness? Sure. Yeah, I'm devout.
Is that there have been airstrikes which we believe to have been carried out by the United States, perhaps with regional help, around the area of the Strait of Hormuz. We've got a map to show you the areas where we understand these airstrikes have taken place.
Iran fired first. Well, that would be a violation of the ceasefire too, right? So then the ceasefire still wouldn't be in place.
It is Bandar Abbas, which is, if you look at the peak there of the landmass to the south.
No, not from the Bay Area, just a Bay Area fan.
If you go due north, you'll see Bandar Abbas there. Minab is just to the east of that. There is a naval base, an inland naval base there. That, of course.
By the way, for those saying that that Iran fired first, Iran and the United States just always have the opposite story. That's the real problem here. And we've been caught lying and they've been caught lying. And so nobody knows who's telling the truth. If you are a person who's like, I believe the United States intelligence, you're an idiot. If you're somebody who's like, I believe the Iranians, you're an idiot. They're all lying. Everybody's just lying. We have no idea what the truth is.
The location of the attack on the girls' school carried out by accident by the Americans at the beginning of this conflict.
Oh, no. Now Sky News is lying too. Four-wheel drive or whatever your name is. Now they're reporting that we blew up a girls' school.
Also Kasham, which is an island just in the Arabian Gulf there that you could probably make out too. This is all areas around the Strait of Hormuz, which has been blockaded by the Americans, a reaction to the blockade put in place effectively by the Iranians. Now, as I say, the Americans are saying very, very little at the moment, and hopefully we'll get something probably from President Trump on Truth Social at some stage. What the Iranians are saying...
It's a fucking awful reality. We just need to address that we live in a world where when breaking news happens, the people on the news go, we're waiting for a post from the president on his social media platform, Truth Social. That sucks. That sucks so bad. America's 85th best social media platform, Truth Social, is where we have to head to for the American people to find out what the president is thinking. That sucks.
And we have no proof of this being the case as fact, but the Iranians are saying that they responded to
damn, SF loves me. I love that. Thank you. I love them back.
And that they have targeted a number of American ships and that they have damaged those American ships. So that is potentially significant. We have had nothing more from the Americans at this stage, although I'm just looking now, that's just coming into me now. So there are a bit of an update here, Anna. We can report that the US has conducted strikes against at least 2 locations in Iran today. That is according to a US official just in the last few seconds, confirming what I was saying a moment ago. The strikes in Bandar Abbas and Qasem Island were defensive That's how the Americans are framing this at the moment. Not an offensive restarting of the war, but defense.
It's so stupid. They're just firing on each other, and they're like, "It's not. The ceasefire is still in effect. We're just shooting each other." This is. I think you have to laugh. I have to. It's the only option we have here. None of this makes any fucking sense. Why do we tolerate Trump? We try. We don't, but MAGA loves him for some reason.
Action. They do not constitute a resumption of major combat operations. Clearly, the American president does not want to officially restart this conflict. He wants to bring it to a conclusion. He wants to find an off-ramp. He wants to find a way out of this.
Does he, though? Because it doesn't seem like it.
But at the same time, he's facing pressure from regional allies who are still under attack. A couple of days ago, despite Trump saying that Iran's military has been decimated, there were, I think, 15 cruise and ballistic missile attacks on Gulf Arab countries from Iran. And they are upset about that. They want that to stop. And so Trump is under some considerable pressure. But Anna, he's going to Beijing early next week. He does not want this to be an active war while he is in Beijing.
All right. That's it. That's all I can take this week. That's the end of that. Jen, did I miss anything? I'd call Trump an idiot, but I'm on a list of undesirables already. Yeah, no, for sure. Same. I'm all over those lists.
Double check on that. I think that's all of them for Emma.
All right, that's it for me. Guys, thank you again for another great week. 4 out of 5 days, not bad. I hope that I'm done with court stuff and we don't run into that again. But again, thank you guys so much for your support. I will see you Monday morning, bright and early, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching, whether it be on YouTube or Twitch or Kick. Actually, I don't think there's anybody here from Kick. I don't know. I haven't seen. But until I see you on Monday, take care of yourselves. I hope you have a great weekend. Mothers specifically, have a great weekend. The world is a better place because of mothers, and we all exist because of mothers. So be nice to your mother if you can. If your mom sucks, I'm sorry. Hug somebody else's mom and tell them that you love them. But until I see you all Monday morning, be nice to yourselves. Go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't touch grass or smoke grass, best of luck to you. Get your boots on the ground. Drink lots of water. Say nice things about yourself. And until I see you on Monday, stay cute and cool and have a great summer.